What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We are back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today, this beautiful Sunday afternoon or morning or wherever you're certainly tuned in today. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic week. We got 6 incredible topics for you guys, some honorable mentions to kick us off, some live viewer questions to wrap up the show, and a ton more, guys. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. Welcome to A-Plus Hero Report, your live weekend show as we wrap up your week with great movie and television news. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, rocking solo dolo today here. Stuart is not able to join me here this weekend, but he will be back next weekend. And real quick announcement, just off the rip to get everybody sort of up to date here. We will be changing the time for Hero Report. It is about that time of the year. You guys know I'm a big football fan. So whenever the football season is here, we like to go ahead and start a little bit early, around 11 a.m. or so Central Time, due to the football schedule. But now that football is in fact over, beginning next week, we will be going back to our regular time, which is usually noon Central Time. So about 12 p.m. Noon time Central. So again, next week Central Time, 12 p.m. A-Plus Hero Report will be going live for our new scheduled time. And then once the football season kicks off again, we'll be back to 11 o'clock for you guys. So maybe some time on a Sunday for you guys to sleep in a little bit, maybe go to church, catch us a little bit later if you want to, whatever works for you guys. But wanted to give you guys a heads up in regards to really what was going on with the time schedule for Hero Report going forward. So again, next week, starting at noon Central Time. But it's just myself here, guys. Look, if you guys are in the live chat with us today, I'm definitely going to need your guys' help. You guys know, as I go through these topics, what I talk about is simply my A-plus opinions, but I certainly always want to know yours. So whatever topics we talk about in here, if you feel some type of way, if you want to converse about it, discuss about it, let your thoughts be known in the live chat, and it'll give me somebody to go back and forth with, have a nice lot of kind of discussion, because I do like to highlight your guys' thoughts on the channel here. I did go to the movies last week. I had the opportunity to go ahead and check out Crime 101 with Halle Berry, Chris Hemsworth, along with Mark Ruffalo. If you haven't had the opportunity to see it, go see it. It's a great movie. Again, it's Crime 101. Had a fantastic time. There's another movie that's currently out that I wanted to see. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it has to do with like a time traveler. Something Don't Die, Have Fun, or something like that. I can't remember what the full title of it is, but I definitely want to go ahead and check it out. But look, January, I thought had a pretty good slate of movies. February has been kind of, who knows? But I'm really looking forward to like once March kicks off. Like March is for me like the official kickoff. I don't want to say of the summertime or anything, like not necessarily summer blockbusters, but it's like the prelude. It's like the appetizer course. March and April are like the appetizer course for the movie box office and movie theaters, and then once you hit May, that's like your summer blockbusters all the way out until like August or so. But March and April usually always have some great sleepers, some great films that kind of stick with you for the remainder of the year. I got my eyes on Project Hail Mary, which I believe is going to be dropping in March also. It may be this year's like Sinners, in a sense. I think Sinners came out also in March of last year, and is still, to me, one of the better films of last year also. So I wonder if Project Hail Mary will be sort of like the Sinners of last year. But yeah, a lot of big movies to certainly look forward to. If you have seen any movies in theaters lately, please go ahead and certainly let me know which ones you've seen, how you've thought about them so far. I was a big fan of Crime 101. If you love some sort of like crime movies with a lot of suspense and mystery involved, characters that have their own sort of character arcs, and then they kind of all sort of come together. Really great chase sequences and action sequences. It was pretty good, man. It was pretty good. So I highly recommend Crime 101 if you haven't had the opportunity to see it. But before we get into our honorable mentions, again, I do want to give some shout out and love to people that are joining us live here today. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and kick this off, man. Ricky Perez in the house saw the official trailer for the upcoming Toy Story 5. Yes, we probably, we do have a couple of trailers that we want to discuss here today. I think we're going to talk about Toy Story 5, House of the Dragon, and I believe the Mandalorian and Grogu here today with you guys. So we will be showing some of the trailers for you guys and reacting to it and giving our quick thoughts. And maybe a lot of stop and starts. I'm trying to beat this don't want to get too demonetized because they don't like when we play trailers here, but we're going to try it anyway. Ricky Perez says also Paramount has confirmed Mutant Mayhem sequel has pushed the release date to August. You say August 26th. Is that August 2026 or is that August 2027? I thought it was 2027, but I'll double check that, Ricky. Also, the official trailer for the 25th anniversary of The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser, will be arriving in theaters soon. Hey, that's great timing, right? 25th anniversary for The Mummy this year, and I do believe The Mummy 4 is set to release in 2028, so a couple of years later. Also, this Thursday, there's going to be a Pokemon Presents live stream on news for upcoming new video games honoring Pokemon's 30th anniversary. Man, 30th anniversary. Like, it's what's crazy is like, I'm trying. Was Pokemon even my generation? Or maybe it was like my brother's generation, because my brother was really big into Pokemon. I kind of came into it maybe because he was watching it, sort of thing. But the fact that it's 30 years old already is crazy. It had to be my generation because my brother is like, well, I don't know. Maybe it was my brother's. My brother's 30. He just turned 33. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of like in the middle of both of us. We got Peg C in the house. What's up, Peg C? Good to see you in here, man. Thank you so much. As I watched episode 2 of Gavin, I'm really digging it. Man, you sent me the link. You sent me the link last week to go ahead and check out Space Sheriff Gavin, and I just have not gotten around to it. So if I've got some time today, I will try and knock out these 2 episodes because I wanna get caught up and certainly talk about it. I originally had plans on trying to maybe even do reviews for Space Sheriff Gavin back on my APlus More Phenomenal account, but I haven't even caught up to the first 2 episodes yet. So maybe that's what I'll try and do here this week. We got Blossom in the house. What's up, Blossom? Good to see you always coming through, man. Thank you so much. Indy in the house, my big homie. It's good to see you, Indy. When you coming back, look, man, I put an invite to the live stream in the chat over on Facebook. So if you got some time today, man, just pop on in. Indy. We miss you, bro. He says the Absolute Green Arrow comic looks amazing. Yeah, it really does. For those of you who don't know, DC right now is on a hot streak. It's just on an absolute tear when it comes to the comic books right now, whether it's the DC All-In initiative that they've got going on, it's connected with the DC KO big event that they've had, kind of all fall and winter sort of thing, or even if it's the absolute side of DC Comics, which is sort of like the equivalent of the Ultimate Marvel universe, if you will, but this is for DC. The absolute universe has been incredible, based off of a world that's really just created by the powers of Darkseid. Like Darkseid's energy and Omega energy is sort of like intertwined into every aspect of whatever is the world that's created, even its superhero sort of thing. So it's a lot darker, if you will. And some of the issues have been great. Absolute Batman has been an incredible series. Absolute Wonder Woman's been an incredible series. Some people appreciate Absolute Superman and Green Lantern also, but they are kicking more off of that initiative, and Absolute Green Arrow is one of them, and some of the first look stuff has been incredible. So yeah, man, it's probably going to be a new series that I wind up picking up here. I need Marvel. I need Marvel to get their act together. I really do. They've got an opportunity here. Marvel Comics does. So we'll see. They got Chip Zdarsky doing a lot of writing for the projects and kind of taking over some of the really big arcs. We've got like an Avengers Assemble. I think it's called Avengers Armageddon, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be something that's like a man, I don't know if it's a summer event that's going to be kicking off to maybe help shape the Marvel Comics universe a little bit more. So we'll see what happens. But Marvel's got some catching up to do because DC Comics is just blowing them away right now. Ricky Perez corrects himself, August 2027 for Mutant Mayhem sequel. That's what I thought. I thought it was 2027. Thank you for the correction. And he says, I don't have many more weeks left of weekends, but when I come back, it's major upgrades and steady content coming. We're looking forward to it, Indy. Trust me, we need some steady anime content around here. Some television shows you might be watching. Any upgrades will certainly help, brother. So come on back, Indy. Come on back. We miss you, bro. Let's see here. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and kick off this show, man, with our first segment of the day. And for those of you who are not familiar with our show, if this is your first time watching, honorable mentions is pretty much just a portion of the show in which topics that we felt you certainly still deserve to know about, but maybe didn't necessarily make our top 6 for the day. So we're going to try and fit in as much news as quickly as we possibly can for you guys before we get onto our main topics. We did get some brand new first looks here this week of Tomb Raider. That's right. Sophie Turner has taken over as Lara Croft for the Tomb Raider television series that's going to be coming to us from Amazon. Over the past couple of weeks, we've kind of highlighted some of the brand new set photos that have been releasing, and a lot more is certainly starting to come out here. I'm going to be really fascinated to kind of see how Sophie Turner does in this role. I mean, she certainly looks the part, but I'll be kind of curious to see what she does in regards to her vision for the character, what she brings to the character personality-wise and stuff from a creative standpoint. But all the first looks that I've seen so far have been looking really great. She's already on some type of mission. Looks like she's got some artifact in her hand that she's either been looking for or trying to take away from the bad guy or whatever the case may be. But I actually am a big fan of this particular shot here. But we did get ourselves some brand new Tomb Raider visuals from behind the scenes. I'm not sure exactly when this series is set to go ahead and drop, but regardless, filming has in fact begun, and it continues. So let me know what you guys think of the new look at Tomb Raider. We also got BioShock in the news. It's actually been gaining some steam here a little bit. We got a pretty good update here. Let's see here. It says it's taking priority. What are they saying about it? Looks like it might be coming or begin working soon. They say we would have gotten it made a few years back, but then other movies got in the way, with one being The Long Walk, and the other being the Hunger Games prequel. For those of you who don't know, the director, Francis Lawrence, who usually does all the directing for the Hunger Games movies. He recently directed The Long Walk also. He is actually attached to do the BioShock movie. So because he's been busy with The Long Walk and the other Hunger Games prequels, it's kind of kept BioShock from moving forward. He says, we're just waiting for him to finish post-production on the newest Hunger Games movie because he's going to be working on it through at least September and then jump back into it. I know that Netflix and Take-Two are very anxious to see the movie come out because they want to have the release coincide with some of the potential new incarnations of the game. So again, if you guys are big BioShock fans, they pretty much have just been waiting for Francis Lawrence, the director, to wrap up post-production and stuff on the new Hunger Games movie. But it sounds very much like once that Hunger Games movie is done, that probably is going to be the next one up for them. We also have an update in regards to Paradise Lost. You guys recall we were on here last week or maybe the previous week before. Daniel Rickman, I believe, one of the insider scoopers, mentioned the idea that the Paradise Lost, the AKA Wonder Woman prequel series, was sort of dead or, no longer happening. Well, this week, James Gunn has officially come out and debunked that. Let's see here. There are a couple things that he wind up debunking. Um, Asked if it's true that Paradise Lost has been shelved, the frustrated filmmaker declared, definitely not. He said, Jesus, I go on threads for the first time in weeks and it's just one insanely wrong thing after the other. What is going on? So he definitely debunks the idea of Paradise Lost being dead and gone. So it sounds like it's very much still alive and well over at DC Studios. At what part of development is it in is a whole nother question, but it seems like it's certainly still in the works, which doesn't surprise me because I think when we talked about the idea of Paradise Lost being dead, that news surprised me because I really thought I heard that the Wonder Woman aspect of things was taking off at DC Studios, not just the Wonder Woman movie, but that they had writers associated with Paradise Lost and that was coming along really nicely, which would make sense. I mean, because look, at the end of the day, if you're going to launch a Wonder Woman movie, right, you definitely want more to come out of that pillar of the franchise. And I think Paradise Lost is almost like a layup, like a given for them in regards to the origin stories of Themyscira. You get to talk about Wonder Woman's mother, any of the other popular Amazons that we might certainly have. So the idea of having like a Game of Thrones esque series for Themyscira, I think is relatively brilliant. And you can also uplift other DC Amazonian comic book characters by giving them some shine in that regards and kind of use it as like excuse me, kind of use it as like a spin-off of whatever the Wonder Woman movie certainly might be. So I think there's almost too much potential in a Paradise Lost series for it to certainly be dead. And it seems as though James Gunn is certainly debunking that for us as well. What else do we have news wise? Give me one moment here. I'm trying to bring up some things before we get to trailers. We did have some announcements that I thought were kind of interesting. Yes. Let's go to the Sonic franchise real quick, as it looks as though we have our voice actor for Amy Rose in the upcoming Sonic 4, as Kristen Bell is set to go ahead and voice Amy Rose. It says Kristen Bell has closed the deal to voice the character in Sonic the Hedgehog 4. The franchise keeps adding bold face names to the voice cast with each entry. But yeah, she will in fact be the one that's going to be voicing Amy Rose. And I personally love this. I think uh, Kristen Bell is not only a talented actor, but she's also done some incredible voice work as well. I mean, like I literally can associate her with both roles of an actor as well as a voice actor because she's just done so much voice acting work. So I think this is a great layup and a home run for them. Honestly, I don't know how many more Sonic movies we're going to be getting, but 4 movies in, and I think they've gotten great voices for every new character that they've certainly introduced to us. And I think Amy Rose is going to be no exception, voiced by the brilliant Kristen Bell. So I think it's great casting on their choice, personally. There's also another big casting announcement here this week that kind of got me excited. Oh, yeah. For the upcoming live action Scooby Doo movie. That's right, baby. We found our Daphne in the fantastic McKenna Grace. According to Variety, she has landed the role. McKenna Grace has been cast as Daphne. Apparently, this isn't the only time that she's actually played this character. She also played the character, she voiced the character, if I'm not mistaken, in the Scooby Doo animated movie that just recently came out. I believe it was called Scoob or something like that. I don't know what year it came out, but apparently she did the voice work for that character also. I'm a really big fan of McKenna Grace. I have really enjoyed her in the things that I've seen. She had a new movie that just recently came out with that what's his name? Something Thames. He was also in the How to Train Your Dragon movie and the Black Phone series. Mason Thames. Yeah, he was like she was in like a romance film with Mason Thames just recently. I missed her in that, but I'm a big fan of her work from the Ghostbusters stuff. Was she in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina as well? I'm not quite sure, but I think this is fantastic. I had the opportunity to see her at a Dallas Fan Expo maybe about 2-3 years ago. Dude, she's bubbly, she's got energy. I think she's gonna knock this role out of the park. I think she's gonna be fantastic for it. I don't know if we've had any other live action casting announcements for the live action Scooby-Doo, but it seems to be coming together relatively well. We do have a couple of also some other trailers that wind up dropping here this week that I want to highlight with you guys. If you haven't had the opportunity to see it, let's see what pops up first. I believe we have House of the Dragon, a brand new season 3 trailer. This is very much uh, now, mind you, this is very much a teaser trailer, but it is set to go ahead and drop in June, surprisingly. I didn't know when it was going to be released, but it looks as though June is the going to be the return for House of the Dragon. They even gave us ourselves a brand new poster here from Fire Comes Darkness. Fantastic looking poster in here. Last season 2 posters were really cool as you had like the two different factions and everybody had like their own character posters and stuff. Again, this is just a teaser poster for season 3. I definitely expect more promotion as we get closer to June for it. But not only did we get ourselves a brand new poster, but we also got ourselves a brand new trailer. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out the trailer, let's go.
Where were you?
Alicent came to Dragonstone.
She will open the gates of the Red Keep and surrender to me.
This idea of her surrendering and opening up the keep to her and stuff, I don't know. I want to believe her, but there's a sense of doubt that I certainly have, and I don't know if the people around her trust her to do the right thing also.
You cannot trust her. The king has abdicated the throne.
A new dawn is coming.
Oh, that's right. My boy left. That's right. My boy abandoned them because he thought they were going to kill him, right? For being weak and vulnerable and take advantage of him for all the burns and all the injuries he got from that crazy dragon battle. Yeah, man. So that seat is like vacant.
A new line of unsullied kings.
Damn. The great shot.
You are the Queen of Dragons. You have an absolute power within your grasp.
Soon or late, Renee will send her new dragons here. It would be the end.
This I love the shot. First off, the sequences of them on the ships. I don't know what color grading they're kind of using. There's almost like a bronze kind of like tint over it or something like that. I don't know. It just adds to the epicness of like these big scale ship battles, if you will. And you're gonna get dragons involved. Yes, please. Ooh, I love that shot.
You become queen.
I love that when he says this is your moment to become queen, and yet here she is, like traumatized in tears, right? Like really distraught, sort of thing. Like sometimes the thing that you want the most, comes with the most kind of sacrifice, if you will, right? Like what has she had to give up? Who's had to die in order to get her kind of on that throne, sort of thing. So yeah, maybe not necessarily the happiest of endings for getting what you want when it comes to this sort of stuff. But yeah, so we had ourselves a brand new trailer for House of the Dragon. Again, that comes out in March. And we also had a trailer for Toy Story 5, believe it or not. This is our first official trailer, I believe, for Toy Story 5 that wind up coming out. I got to be honest, I missed Toy Story 4. I didn't watch Toy Story 4. I've seen mostly all of them. Yeah, I've seen the first 3 with the exception of the 4th one. So there's a part of me that definitely needs to see it before I check out Toy Story 5 in here. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This movie just resonates with me as a parent right now. I'm not even gonna lie. Especially as I've gotten older with these characters, also to kind of see how far they've kind of come along too. The ability for Toy Story after all these years to continue to remain relevant is just hella impressive to me. So yeah, not only did we get ourselves a brand new poster, this is going to be in theaters June 19th, but we also got ourselves a brand new trailer. So let's go ahead and dive into this trailer for Toy Story 5. Let's go.
And Beverly to be your beloved bride.
Yeehaw! I now pronounce you husband and knife. Poison the maid of honor!
Bonnie, there's a package for you.
Oh, thank you. Hi there, I'm Lily.
Uh-oh.
Let's play.
Extinction, not again!
Yo. Yo, I know I've seen this trailer like twice already, but I can't lie. That extinction line is so good. That extinction line gets me every time. Not again. Yo, it's so brilliant. It's so brilliant. Did you see the look in Homegirl's eyes? Look at her eyes when she gets
Thank you. Hi there, I'm Lily Pad. Let's
it's like a whole new world to her. It's like the world is just opened up to like just yeah, she's lost in these screens already, bro.
Extinction, not again!
Bonnie, screen time's over now.
Okay.
Ain't that the
I want to
truth,
talk to you,
bro?
device.
Please, call me Lily.
Me and the toys have been working all summer to try and get Bonnie to make friends.
Yeah.
But then you had to ruin
Got
it.
it.
You're not even listening to me.
I'm always listening. See?
Now look here. Me and the toys have been working all summer.
No, in Spanish.
What?
Yeah, I got dibs on behind the dresser.
Dude, they're already dreading it. They're already dreading it. No, but I'm gonna be honest with you. As a father to a 4-year-old, we've really done our best to try and keep them off screens as much as we possibly can. But it's just inevitable, right? Like he sees us on our phones sometimes, and so I think that's built up to him realizing, like, oh, like there must be something fun to kind of do on the phones. And now, I kid you not, every morning when he wakes up, the first thing he wants to do while we're still trying to sleep is use our phones. And so, like, the first hour or two of his day may just literally be like wanting to look at our phones or play on our phones. Now, granted, it is at that point where it's still like educational stuff that he's learning on the phone and off the phone for us, but still, it's like a big concern and like a big worry. But because it is one of those things, like once he's in it and he's just like droned out, he just like closes everything else out. You could be telling him to do something and he's just like pushing the buttons on his phone or scrolling and stuff on the phone, trying to watch videos and stuff like that. You know, at least with me, he's a little bit easier to like separate from the phone. But damn, if this ain't the truth of the matter, in the sense of like, you have to like take these screens away from these kids at some point in time in order for them to actually get up and be active and do things around the house. You know what I mean?
Woody! Jesse, hello?
Is it as bad out there for toys as they say it is?
We're finding more abandoned toys each day.
Oh,
Tech's
abandoned.
invaded our house too.
I don't know, Jesse. Toys are for play, but tech is...
That's for everything.
I'm losing Bonnie to this device.
You got a friend.
And especially because my son's got like I mean, don't get me wrong, while my son does spend some time on the phone in regards to like watching YouTube Kids and educational videos and things like that, the first maybe hour or so of his day, he does spend the rest of his day like playing with his toys or working in his activity books and stuff and being active, right? But there are like a couple of toys that he has that he's grown up with for a really long time, that he's really fond of. And it'll be interesting, like as he gets older, to kind of see him separate himself from some of these toys and maybe picking up a tablet or electronics a little bit more. So this concept of tech versus toys, I think, is truly a brilliant one, honestly.
Came here as fast as I could.
Why are you wearing a dress, Woody?
It's called a poncho, Forky.
Someone needs a marker.
Oh no, my man's got a bald spot, dude. Oh my gosh. I mean, look, every toy goes through its wear and tear. But the fact that, like, this is what I'm talking about when I say like Toy Story continues to be more relevant each entry, especially as these characters get older, right? Like as somebody in their 40s now that has kind of grown up watching Toy Story. Granted, I don't have any bald spots, but I'm sure there's probably some people out there that can relate to where Woody's at in his time in his life. But when toys do have wear and tear, their color tends to go. And so the fact that Homeboy's been wearing his cowboy hat for years, of course he's gonna get a bald, worn out spot over there. I think it's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. It's like an immediate connection with the audience.
Someone needs a brown marker.
Halt! Who goes there? Whoa, whoa, whoa! I come in peace.
It's been too long, cowboy.
What are you, some sort of old man toy?
What?
She thinks you're old because you're bald, Woody.
Bonnie needs help from someone at least from the same century.
Wow.
So long, toys.
We're gonna need backup.
No way. She's getting away, Buzz!
Our mission on this planet is to make a child happy.
Barney still needs us. Come on, Bullseye.
Buzz, you stay here. I'm going with them.
You don't think I can do it?
No!
Nice poncho.
It's good to see them fighting again.
It sure is.
I love it. You know, I got to be honest. I actually might. Hold on one second here. Let me turn this off. Sorry, it's playing on in the background on my. Okay, there we go. I gotta say, man, I'm really hyped for that movie. I really am. I don't think the Toy Story 4 trailers got me that excited for a Toy Story movie in a long time. But this is one I'm definitely going to check out. You know, I would be kind of curious to see, like, the fact that they kind of have the tech as like the bad guys here. I am wondering the direction in which the story goes, in the sense of, like, you know, will it kind of highlight, like, by the end of this movie, is this going to be a tale of like how toys and tech can kind of coexist together, or like help each other in regards to bonding with the kid the most, right? Maybe it's a case of like the lily pad by the end of the movie, on her own terms, like initiates some sort of parental control guidance or something that like limits Bonnie's time for like 1 hour out of the day or something like that, and then like suggests, hey, why don't you be active and like play with your toys, sort of thing, right? So that the tech and the toys can both get a healthy amount of love and stuff, right? Because I do think there is a place for technology in the life of kids, and so it shouldn't be seen completely as evil, right? And so there is a part of me that thinks that maybe by the end of this movie there is like a resolution of a good balance between tech and toys. But look, you know, there's been also talk about this movie being very damn, what was the Jessie, the cowgirl, this being very Jessie kind of focused, which would make sense because she's sort of like the main toy now to Bonnie, not so much Buzz in them. But it seems as though Buzz and Woody is still going to have just as equal amount of time in this movie. But this was a great trailer, man. This is a great trailer. This is another $1 billion movie. I can almost guarantee you this is another $1 billion movie for the franchise. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about some of these topics and trailers that we saw today. Let's see here. Indy in the chat talking about Avengers Armageddon launches June 3rd for you comic book fans. Check that out. Ricky Perez says McKenna Grace is also voices Sky in Paw Patrol, the Mighty movie, and the upcoming Dino movie. Very cool. Peg C says Woody's sporting the bald spot. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Ricky Perez says, is all the multi-Buzz Lightyears will all be voiced by Tim Allen? Probably. Ricky says Woody needs to be repainted his brown head. Yeah, somebody in the trailer said somebody needs to get Woody a brown marker or something like that. That should have me rolling. Pexy says as long as Pixar can keep telling great stories, I think Toy Story can keep going. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to me like they're just making Toy Story movies to make them. You know, I think we've always been worried every time that they've announced a Toy Story movie, like, guys, maybe you're really milking or pushing it, but they really come out with like innovative and really great present of mind stories that are very relevant for today, and it just continues to work. So whether or not we get a Toy Story 6, who knows, but it doesn't feel like, regardless of how much money this Toy Story makes, it doesn't feel like they would greenlight a Toy Story 6 if they didn't have another brilliant sort of idea there. You know what I mean? So I think Toy Story is one of those franchises from Pixar where they take very good care, if you will. Seen a Nerd in the house. What's up, Seen a Nerd? Good to see you. Look, you guys have been on a roll over there. I saw you guys had 600 subscribers on your YouTube channel. Congratulations. This week is Sarah's birthday. Happy birthday to Sarah. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Look, Will's killing it with his Starfleet Academy reviews. If you guys aren't checking out his Starfleet Academy stuff, go ahead. They've been doing stuff for Knights of the Seven Kingdoms. They've been up to it, man. They've been up to it. So shout out to Stina Nerd. Check out some of their stuff, man. Ricky says Jeff Bergman has been recast as Mr. Potato Head. Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot they probably had to definitely recast Mr. Potato Head there. We'll see how he turns out. But some great trailers this week, man, and some great news. But that is not the only trailer we're going to be talking about today. Let's get into our main topics and kick off today's show for you guys, man. We got some incredible topics to discuss today. We got some big Star Wars news as the marketing machine for The Mandalorian and Grogu continues. This week, we wind up getting ourselves a brand new trailer as this movie is set to go ahead and drop in March. We're also going to talk a little bit about some Spider-Man brand new day for you as more details and information continue to be released. Going back to the Star Wars bag, we even have some Hunt for Ben Solo information for you guys today, and a couple other topics to certainly enjoy. So let's get into this episode, shall we? First and foremost, The Mandalorian and Grogu, baby, is up for discussion here this week. We did get ourselves a brand new trailer, or a brand new poster associated with it. Also, I think this is the official poster for The Mandalorian and Grogu. The other poster that was kind of this themed is a little bit more of a teaser poster. I'm kind of hoping that by the time this movie comes out, we have a secondary poster that feels a little bit more Star Wars-y, if you will. But I'm still liking it so far. Set to go ahead and drop on May 22nd to celebrate the really the month of Star Wars, if you will, when it comes to May. But this week, we wind up getting ourselves a brand new trailer. We had been asking for it. We've been wondering, where is this Mandalorian trailer at? We thought we were going to get it during the Super Bowl, and that certainly didn't happen. But this week, they decided to go ahead and drop something for us. You know, last week, before we get into the trailer, I will go ahead and bring the trailer up. But before we get into the trailer, you know, last week when I was talking with Stuart, one of the things that I said was they have been slowly but surely doing marketing for this movie. Last week, I believe Jon Favreau was at like a toy fair or something like that, and they were unleashing a huge trove of Mandalorian and Grogu toys, not only for kids but even like more adult stuff for like the Black series, if you will. They even announced like a novelization of the movie or a junior novelization of the movie as well. Low key, the Mandalorian and Grogu have already begun their marketing, and I think it's kind of a brilliant idea. It kind of also of like what Masters of the Universe is kind of doing right now with Mattel, in the sense that they dropped the trailer, but they also are revealing like a toy line kind of associated with it beforehand, so they can get their toys into the supermarkets and things like that prior to the movie kind of being released. It seems like that's the same thing that they're doing with the Mandalorian and Grogu. Not only are they doing action figures, they're doing Black Series action figures, they're doing novels. I believe they've even went ahead and announced some like Lego sets also for the Mandalorian and Grogu. So you will start seeing this sort of like at your nearest Walmart or Sam's Club or Target or whatever, wherever you do your shopping at. You will start to see more Mandalorian and Grogu. And this week we wind up getting ourselves a brand new trailer. So let's go ahead and dive into this, shall we? Let me bring this up here. Let's kick off this trailer, bro. Here we go. First off, you cannot, John Favreau, you're killing me, bro. Like, let me see. Can I bring this up here? Did this pull up at all? Hold on, let me see. It says it was sharing it, but for some reason it didn't come up. There we go. There we go. First off, John Favreau, you can't come out of the gate swinging with this sick shot, man. Like at one point in time, I was almost waiting for like a twin sun somewhere else. This is such an epic shot. This just feels like an Apocalypse Now type of shot. Like you can't come out of the gate swinging like this, John Favreau. How dare you? The X-Wings, I mean, in front of the sunset. I mean, come on. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here, John Favreau? This cinematography is already top notch. Beautiful.
Hey, never touch the buttons.
This kid just pushing stuff. Oh, is anybody else happy that the Razor Crest is back? I'm so fucking happy the Razor Crest is back.
I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Quick fact, over the week, people were saying that's it was revealed that's actually Marty Scorsese voicing an alien, y'all. That's right. Let's listen to his voice again. I always love these side characters. He doesn't necessarily remind me of like Dex from the diner or anything like that, but it's almost equivalent in a sense of like aliens with personalities that just happen to be like serving food at a food kiosk in Coruscant. It feels so perfect.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Gangsters. More criminals.
Long live the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
I love the little salute. Ooh, I love this shot too. Tell me that's not a badass shot, man. Tell me that's not a badass shot. Just coming down the corridor with like all the confidence in the world, just single-handedly taking these dudes out sort of by the door. But I kind of dig it. It definitely sets the premise of where we find Mando and Grogu right now. Like she's just giving him a deck of cards of like bounties, like, hey, we need you to take these people out, and he's just knocking them off one at a time, working right alongside them.
This isn't about revenge. It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
You will suffer.
First off, I love this design. This is the bounty. What is it? Is he a bounty hunter? Yeah. The bounty hunter Embo, if I'm not mistaken, from the Clone Wars. I can't remember his his full story from Clone Wars or where his story ended. But they're definitely going to be utilizing him to on the big screen here, which I think is brilliant. Look, personally, I would have loved to have, even though we've seen Cad Bane in a season of The Mandalorian, like it would have been great if Cad Bane was actually like the bounty hunter villain for the movie on the big screen. But I'm not going to be sleeping on Embo at all. So the fact that they're really getting into their bag here, I think is kind of brilliant. I love them. I love the voice too, and the rain. I mean, come on, this looks sick. Oh, that's not okay. That's not even Embo's voice. That's actually Rhoda the Hutt's voice that's talking. Okay.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
So it sounds like it definitely looks like the Hutts have captured him. It seems as though he's talking to Din here, talking about the idea of like you're gonna suffer and then he's gonna suffer, in the sense of like Grogu here. And look, he's got that look on his face like, don't you touch my boy, don't you touch my boy.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor.
You see my man, how he's strapped up? He's like, he just strapped up that Mandalorian armor, dude. I love it.
The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
Man. Ooh. The creature design in here looks gorgeous too. Looks gorgeous. We've seen this creature before in animation for sure. But even the creature talking to Grogu, I mean, even the special effects looks like it's ready for the big screen. Like, this is not some small television show type of thing. Like, you can feel like, just from the way that this movie shot, the cinematography, the pushing of the envelope when it comes to the alien creatures and the special effects. I mean, they're not lazing around. This isn't just like a TV for movie type of cash. You know what I mean?
Do we run? Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for?
Yo, my man got a Hot Wheels car. Woo! It's about time.
Let's save the rest for after dinner.
Grogu's just got an attitude, bro. He just not an attitude, but he's definitely got his own personality for sure. He's like, after dinner, nah, you don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna just bite this right now. But it's just funny to me though that this is just a normal stroller, right? Like, my man is pushing around a baby in this stroller, and all of a sudden it turns into like this hot rod.
What are you waiting for?
Like, what type of stroller comes with what kind of stroller comes with like a propulsion system? I mean, I love that shot. I love it.
Let's save the rest for after dinner.
It's like, fuck you, dude. I'm about to eat this right now. I'm hungry. I gotta tell you, man, that last shot of seeing them fly together, I think is beautiful. It's nice to see that Grogu's able to keep up a little bit more. Like, yeah, bro, come on. I'm not gonna wait around for your Warp 1 propulsion system to follow me around. Like, you need to, like, let's go. I will be interested to see how much Grogu is developed in here. I love the armored pieces in here. My man putting on his gauntlets, his chest plate sort of thing. By the end of this movie, I need a Grogu helmet. I need a Mandalorian Grogu helmet, something that his ears can stick out of or something like that. But by the end of this movie, I need more Grogu armor. And I think somebody, even in the live chat last week, it might have been Kiki and Luca, referenced the idea of like, it would be great if he actually starts to speak like speak words by the end of this movie, and I think that would be brilliant also. But look, man, you know, this trailer I think did what a lot of people were hoping that it would do, in the sense of let people recognize that no, this isn't just the television show. You know, one of the complaints that people have for the teaser trailer was it feels like I'm just watching another Mandalorian episode sort of thing. And this is Jon Favreau coming out of the gates with this trailer like hell to the nah. Like I am a movie filmmaker. Like this is what I've been paid to do for years of my life. The idea of me doing a television series was odd for me. But now that I'm in my bag, I'm going to show you guys what a Mandalorian and Grogu movie should certainly look like. And I mean, the first visual coming out, X-Wing fighter silhouettes in front of a beautiful sunset. I mean, dude, just sick. I expect a lot more of those type of shots in this movie. Hearing Rhoda, I would believe, is Jeremy White doing the Rhoda voice in here. He sounds really menacing also. Din Djarin seemingly is captured by those robots in capes. We saw on the planet they were like running away as some of the or it looks like they were running towards something while some of the ships were being jettisoned out of these out of the base and things like that. Maybe that's where Rhoda has kind of stationed himself. I'm kind of curious if Rhoda has like an entire army kind of around him or protecting them sort of thing, and they're trying to break in and they wind up sort of kind of getting captured in here. So there's some interesting elements in here. The Rhoda stuff, seeing exactly how Din Djarin and Grogu are being utilized by the New Republic to go ahead and hunt down. I don't want to say some of these loose ends, but it definitely seems like he's very involved in like the underground and some of the bosses, right? Like you even hear "Long Live the Empire" in here to suggest that there are remnants of the Empire that is certainly still around. And it seems as though this is what the New Republic has hired Din Djarin to do, is to kind of take those remnants out, if you will. Where that leads them to in regards to, I don't even know if Rhoda is necessarily the ultimate bad guy in this movie. We also see Embo in here, so maybe Embo is also trying to stop, like, knowing that the New Republic has sort of a bounty hunter and Din Djarin on their side. I wonder if whoever is also in power recognizes this and is like, let me send my own bounty hunter to maybe take out Din Djarin also kind of along the way. So I am kind of curious as to who the big bad is in here. Maybe it is Rhoda kind of pulling a lot of the strings. I mean, he is a Hutt after all, and certainly should not be taken lightly. He could probably definitely be his own main villain in regards to things too. But who knows? But I gotta say, I think this certainly separated itself, going a little bit more in depth in regards to just the visuals, the really cool alien designs that they're able to capture in here, everything just seems really seamless. Like from the special effects and the real world aspect of things blending so well together. Even though I think the budget for this movie is like $160 million, which seems like a great number for a Star Wars movie. Feels like on the low end of a Star Wars movie. I think the fact that they've been doing this so long with all these characters and they have everything already so well established, they don't have to spend so much in creating a ton of new stuff, because all the technology and some of the sets and stuff that I'm sure they've already kind of designed. So from a financial basis, that probably helps them too. So I'm kind of surprised at the budget, but it doesn't necessarily surprise me, because everything just looks so damn good and seamless in here. But this is the trailer that I certainly needed to go ahead and get my hype level up. I don't know how this is going to do at the box office. Like, we're still like 3 months away. I personally expect at least one more trailer to drop sometime in maybe April. But from what I've seen so far from this, yeah, man, I'm hoping that this trailer has opened up some eyes, or at least relieved some concerns that people might have in regards to, yeah, this is not just another episode for the big screen. They're really kind of taking this pretty seriously. But let me know what you guys think. Cena Nerd says trailer has season 1 and 2 vibes. Yes, it definitely does. He also says the Apocalypse Now kickoff. Yeah, I'm like, dude, this is ripped right out of Apocalypse Now. I absolutely cannot. I can't contain it, dude. It looks so good. The sound design and the score were on point. Yeah, the sound. I will say, I'll go back for the sound for sure, but the score in here really carried me through. It sounded brilliant. Not only just a mix of some of the Star Wars themes, but also the Mandalorian themes coming in so seamlessly. I will be curious to see how this movie opens. One of the concerns that I had for something like the Mandalorian and Grogu is, you know, you've already had 3 seasons of this show. And to go from a show to then a movie, you're definitely going to be carrying over your television fans that have seen this show. But what about like the general audience and people that have not seen The Mandalorian and Grogu before, right? Like there was always a part of me that felt like, oh man, you might have to use this movie as sort of like an introductory course to those people that maybe haven't watched your television show before, right? And then I started thinking to myself, like, I think that also lines up really well for Star Wars movies in general, in the sense that I am curious if The Mandalorian and Grogu will utilize an opening crawl like classic Star Wars movies have, right? Or even did Rogue One do something like, I think Rogue One did something like that also, just to kind of like, I think that would be a really great way to get people caught up in regards to who the Mandalorian is, who Grogu is, and where they find themselves, so that we can then just kind of get thrusted into the adventure that they're in, because that's almost every Star Wars movie, right? In the sense of there's bigger things that have happened in the universe that have kind of led us to this moment, and that opening crawl has always done a really good job of establishing characters, establishing places and times to understand the premise of what we're going to be getting ourselves into. And there's a part of me that hopes that The Mandalorian and Grogu have some type of opening crawl, or at least opening text, so that does more of the heavy lifting than John Favreau and Dave Filoni necessarily having to rehash things or get everybody completely on board or up to date with who these characters are. And when I thought about that, like, oh, it's Star Wars, there should be an opening crawl or an opening text, then it kind of relieves some of the concerns and worries that I might have had of having to introduce these characters to the general public. So again, I'm not worried about this movie. The trailer has gotten me more hyped than what I certainly was for it, but my non-concern from this movie comes from the foundational pieces that are putting this movie together, and that's Jon Favreau. He's been with these characters, he knows these characters, and his bread and butter is movies. And if there's anybody that could make a really great and compelling and classic tale or classic movie, it's Jon Favreau, because I know this man has certainly done it before. And now it feels like his handcuffs are taken off in that regard. So I'm looking forward to this. Cody, what's up, Cody? He says the big bad is Dr. Doom, right? Like, it's all leads to Doomsday. The end title credit scene is Din Djarin will return for Avengers Doomsday. Just give us one whole multiverse experience here for Disney. I'd love to see it, man. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. Has it gotten you more excited? Are you still kind of trepidatious about it? What did you see in the trailer that really excited you? What worked for you the most? May 22nd will be here before you know it. Literally, I mean, it's February 22nd, literally 3 months or so away. So get hyped, baby. Mandalorian and Grogu are back. What else do we have on the docket for you guys today? Let me take a sip of my coffee before my mouth goes parched again. Where's Crystal at, by the way? This was like her segment to talk about anything Grogu related, and she's not here today. We're going to stick in the world of Star Wars, because we got a lot of Star Wars great news here, because the hunt for Ben Solo is certainly back in the news here this week. In an interview, for those of you who don't know, in an interview a few months back, Adam Driver revealed the idea that him and director Steven Soderbergh were in fact creating a Ben Solo movie titled The Hunt for Ben Solo. It seems as though everybody, for the most part, was relatively on board. But when it was presented to Bob Iger, it was immediately kind of shut down in the inability to understand how Ben Solo would even be necessarily alive. So they didn't even talk budget. They didn't even talk releases. They didn't even talk full details on it. It was just sort of immediately shut down because Bob Iger, quote unquote, just didn't get it or just didn't understand how Ben Solo could be alive. And so a lot of the fans have certainly been talking about this movie. There's been a bunch of hashtags out there, hashtag revive Ben Solo or revive the hunt for Ben Solo or save Ben Solo, whatever the case may be. We've seen people purchase airplane sort of like billboards flying over Disney Studios trying to get Bob Iger's attention to greenlight this movie. Kathleen Kennedy has even said, like, on her departure and her way out, the idea like, hey, the script is ready. There is a final script. It's ready to go. It's just ready to be greenlit, but it's just sitting on the shelf right now. And that responsibility as to whether or not it gets greenlit is no longer on her plate. It will come down to Dave Filoni and the new co-CEO Lenwyn Brennan if this movie ever gets made. So whether or not this movie ever gets made, who certainly knows? But this week, the director and the writer, Steven Soderbergh, had some thoughts and had some frustrations that he wanted to talk about when it comes to this movie certainly not being made. And I found what he had to say quite compelling. So let's check this out. This is coming to us from Coming Soon.net. I do believe they got this story from someplace else, though. Steven Soderbergh opens up about the frustrating Kylo Ren Star Wars movie cancellation. Says during a recent interview with BK Mag, Soderbergh admitted that he shares former Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy's disappointment over the canceled Ben Solo Kylo Ren movie. He revealed that he, driver, and writer Rebecca Blunt had dedicated more than 2 years of free work on the project's development. He says it was no surprise that Kennedy, was frustrated. We were all frustrated. You know, that was 2.5 years of free work for me and Adam and Rebecca Blunt, he shared. When Adam and I discussed him talking about it publicly, I said, look, do not editorialize or speculate about the why. Just say what happened, because all we know is what happened. The stated reason was, we don't think Ben Solo could be alive, is what Bob Iger told him. And that was all we were told. And so there's nothing to do about it, except move on. It does say he is frustrated that fans won't be able to see their vision for the movie, especially when they didn't have the chance to defend the project from its cancellation. He also said, and as I posted, I kind of made the movie in my head and just felt bad that nobody else was going to go see it. I thought the conversation was strictly going to be a practical one. Where they go, what is it going to cost, and I had a really good answer for all of that, but it never even got to that point. It's insane. We're all very disappointed. Despite the character's immense popularity among the fandom, Bob Iger and Alan Bergman surprisingly turned down the project. Even though Lucasfilm loved their idea, Iger and Bergman couldn't understand why his character would still be alive when he was already sacrificed his life at the end of the Rise of Skywalker movie. Since the canceled movie was revealed, fans have been rallying online to convince the studio that they made a mistake by not going forward with the project. Yeah, it is an interesting one to me. Like, when he mentions the idea of like, hey, we didn't even get to the point of talking about like what comes next or where do we sort of go from here, sort of thing, right? Just from a storytelling perspective of, this is where we find our characters, this is where we want to take our characters, this is the potential of like spin-off stuff, how much is this all going to cost? The idea that it was just like everybody involved in Lucasfilm, from Kathleen Kennedy to Dave Filoni to Adam Driver to Steven Soderbergh, maybe Peter Hidalgo, Pablo Hidalgo, who knows? Seemingly everybody was kind of on board with this movie being put together. I would assume they had things maybe working behind the scenes from a pre-production kind of perspective, but the fact that he did spend 2.5 years of his life putting this together shows like the level of commitment that they had of making this sort of work. I am fascinated though. That is one of those things. It's like putting in all that time to put something together only for it to be shut down by Bob Iger at the end. Like, I guess from like a studio perspective, I am kind of curious as to like, is that the normal way that it works, right? Like, if I'm Kathleen Kennedy, I would assume, again, this is me assuming, I've never been in this position before, but if you have a movie idea, I would think you would go to Bob Iger first, right? Like, to initiate the concept and the idea of what it is that you want to create, and then get the green light from him, and then go as a studio to start putting the pieces together to kind of get it made. Unless this is something that Soderbergh and Adam Driver were kind of doing on their own with the awareness of Lucasfilm, and then when they had something tight and ready to go, then they would approach Bob Iger, because he talks about the idea that he was doing this for free. So it doesn't sound like Lucasfilm was paying him. So it feels like this is something he was kind of doing on his own time, with the thoughts and prayers that this was going to get greenlit. Because I mean, if everybody at Lucasfilm approves this and loves this idea, why wouldn't you want to continue to keep working on it with the understanding that this is going to get made at some point in time? I mean, it's Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh, for goodness sake, right? You would think that this is something that would be greenlit, but unfortunately it just never was. So I could definitely understand his frustrations. This just kind of goes back to the point of like, how does Bob Iger and Disney like view Star Wars in general? Like, this just feels very much like still scared from the outcome that was the sequel trilogy and it not going very well for them. And because it didn't go very well for them and it was very divisive, this almost feels like they really don't want anything to do with these characters or that time period anymore, despite the idea that even the good things that came out of the sequel trilogy, while they have fans of, it's almost like they're afraid to revisit those characters in a more full-time manner, because of the idea that they've already caused some level of divisiveness. And it's like, yes, while I know that there are a lot of people that loved and appreciated Ben Solo, maybe like the fact that the Ben Solo movie somehow ended up being like the thing that unified Star Wars fans, even those that weren't necessarily a big fan of The Rise of Skywalker, or the sequel trilogy, were like, yeah, I love Ben Solo. I think he's one of the bright spots for this. Despite there being unity across the board, it feels like for this movie to be made, it's one of those things like, if it was greenlit, with those people or that fan base that still felt some type of way about the sequel trilogy come out and not support this movie, right? And so it probably puts Disney and Bob Iger in a weird position of, what is the financial risk for this movie? If we put a Hunt for Ben Solo out, yes, we will get some Star Wars fans, but how will it connect with others that maybe didn't necessarily care for this sequel trilogy? Is this movie immediately going to be review bomb sort of thing? So I can understand the trepidatiousness of Bob Iger after everything that's kind of happened. If there's any question that I do have, though, I am curious if this movie is still on the table and has an opportunity to be made now that Bob Iger is stepping down, now that Kathleen Kennedy has kind of stepped down. there's a lot of new management kind of involved. And I will be kind of curious to see if new management wants to even explore anything that came out of the sequel trilogy, or if it's just going to be, we're going to put our blinders on, we're going to utilize these sequel characters as little as we possibly need to, only when we need to, but otherwise we're just going to kind of push forward and go in a brand new sort of direction. So things like the Ray Skywalker movie, I'm starting to have my doubts on. As much as I would love to see the hunt for Ben Solo, there is a part of me that wonders if these characters even have a place in Star Wars anymore, kind of going forward, or will Dave Filoni kind of look at it like, look, that was the past regime. They gave it a shot. It didn't work. Now I'm bringing my boy Simon Kinberg in, who I've worked with for several years on past Star Wars Rebel stuff. We tend to have a Vulcan mind meld that really works. I know it's a different franchise, but maybe Dave Filoni and Simon Kinberg just get each other in the sense of, we're going to launch where we believe the next group of episodic trilogy movies should certainly go. Maybe we'll utilize Ray Skywalker here or there to kind of get the foundational pieces that we certainly need. But after that, we're trying to move past some of these characters and establish kind of other characters. So, while I get the frustration of Steven Soderbergh, there's a part of me that thinks that maybe that's the case of Bob Iger and them just really being fearful of just tackling anything sequel related or greenlighting anything that was certainly attached to them. Maybe that's the route. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they were so adamant about new individual Star Wars movies that really don't have any connection to anything, right? Like the Rogue Squadron movie by Patty Jenkins, that felt like that was going to be sort of a one-off. We got Star Wars Starfighter that feels very much like it's going to be a one-off. You even have James Mangold that was doing the Dawn of the Jedi movie. That felt like it was just sort of a one-off that really had no connective tissues or pieces to anything from the sequel trilogy that they were going to do. And maybe one of the reasons why the Ray Skywalker movie just never materialized the way that it was, despite having countless writers come in and out sort of thing. Like maybe they had really great scripts, but there's just a lot of fear over at Disney and Lucasfilm on pulling the trigger. So we'll see what happens here. I hope that the fans continue to push for this movie, though. I really do. This is a movie I personally would absolutely love to see. Dave Filoni apparently approved of this and was really supportive of it. And now that he's in charge, who knows? Maybe he tries to repush that effort with whoever, the new CEO is over at Disney. I believe it's Dana Waldron or Dana Walden or something like that, who's now head of like the TV and film side. So maybe he can convince her as to why this would certainly be a good move on his part. But it just puts Star Wars in a really interesting predicament. Do we highlight any of these characters at all in their own individual movies, or do we just kind of move forward and highlight them in a when we need to kind of basis, and maybe not necessarily have them as the focus of their stories kind of going forward? So if there's anything out of the sequel trilogy that I think survives, it's maybe just a cameo from Ray Skywalker in the upcoming movies. I don't really have any belief anymore that the Ray Skywalker movie will materialize into anything. Same thing with this Hunt for Ben Solo movie, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that come Celebration 2027, Dave Filoni gets on that stage and is like, the Hunt for Ben Solo is on, ladies and gentlemen. Because I am a big believer, and I said this before, I am a big believer that I personally think Ray Skywalker should have at least one more movie under her belt, whether that be her own solo movie, or maybe you integrate her into this Hunt for Ben Solo storyline in some capacity. But I would like to see this movie and maybe have this movie lead into whatever it is that Simon Kinberg is kind of working on, right? Like Simon Kinberg has not finished his treatment yet for the brand new trilogy. So I think there's a significant amount of time that if Dave Filoni ever wanted to make any changes or implement anything, the writing of what Simon Kinberg is doing right now could easily be edited and worked on to kind of fit in any loose ends from a possible Hunt for Ben Solo movie that might come beforehand. So, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for the best, but I understand the trepidatiousness that Disney certainly might have. But now that we've got new management in tow here, I think anything is certainly possible. So we'll see. We'll see if Dave Filoni wants to use any of these ideas, or if he wants to just continue to push forward. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Would you guys like to see a Hunt for Ben Solo movie, or do you think at this point in time, it's just kind of past us, guys? We should probably move on to something else at this point. I definitely would love to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next topic. We're going to stick in the realm of Disney, but we're going to go over to the MCU, baby, as Spider-Man Brand New Day is in the news here this week, as early promotional art has in fact been revealed and leaked. We're also getting a potential synopsis for Spider-Man Brand New Day here this week also. So some really exciting revelations to kind of get into. So let's dive into this. First, I want to show off the promotional artwork. I believe this is probably going to be on some of the maybe some of the toy boxes or novels or activity books, whatever is going to be coming out for the marketing perspective for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Here is a glimpse. This wind up releasing here this week. I don't know who's doing the artwork for these boxes or not, but Spider-Man in this issue, the web slinger is back. You get to see that there are going to be a couple of characters highlighted in this movie. This does, in fact, confirm that we've got the Hulk here, if you will. There are rumors that he's going to be more of a savage Hulk in here that Spider-Man certainly has to stop. But yeah, so you get to see the Hulk in here. We also get to see Boomerang in here. You got Tarantula up in the upper hand right corner, the red and blue. And then if you got Scorpion here kind of in the middle with his suit design and everything. I think they're even bringing back the Scorpion character from what did we see him at the end of, like in Homecoming or something like that. So he's certainly coming back. So this definitely confirms not only the Hulk, but also multiple villains that are going to be in this movie, as they did have rumors for a long time that Boomerang, Tarantula, Scorpion, and even others were going to be in this movie. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, man, that's just a lot of characters, but we have no idea how they're necessarily going to be utilized as of yet. But this is definitely a confirmation that some of those earlier scoops were in fact correct. But let me know what you guys think about some of the designs here. But that's not all that we wind up getting, because to go along with that concept of multiple villains being in this movie, a new synopsis wind up dropping in here this week. Let's go ahead and bring this to your guys' attention here. This comes to us from comicbookmovie.com. Spider-Man Brand New Day synopsis. Where'd it go? Let's go ahead and check this out. See what it says. Teases a web of mystery and repercussions from Peter's past. Let's see here. As fans await impatiently for the first Brand New Day trailer, current rumors point to swinging on March or April. The first synopsis for the movie has surfaced. For that, you can thank Penguin Random House listing of the upcoming Art of the Movie book. First spotted by the art book collector, the listing confirms that the book is currently due for an August 4th release. That synopsis surprisingly dropping some hints about what to expect from Spider-Man Brand New Day. So here we go. It says Marvel Studios is proud to present the latest volume of its acclaimed Art of the Movie series as Spider-Man swings back onto the silver screen. It says 4 years have gone by since we last caught up with our friendly neighborhood hero. Peter Parker is no more, but Spider-Man is at the top of his game, keeping New York City safe. Things are going well for our anonymous hero until an unusual trail of crimes pulls him into a web of mystery larger than he's ever faced before. So let's stop right there real quick. The concept of 4 years going by is an interesting one. I guess has it been 4 years since No Way Home? I'm kind of curious. It just seems like a real life sort of time lapse. And I think 4 years is an amazing amount of time in regards to a lot can certainly happen. It also says in order to take on what's ahead, Spider-Man not only needs to be at the top of his physical and mental game, but he must also be prepared to face the repercussions of his past. Interesting. Between this and recent leaks, the floodgates have opened to wonder when Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures will finally start going all out to promote what will be likely one of the biggest blockbusters this summer. So yeah, so a couple key things here. 4 years since he's been since we've last seen him. Peter Parker is no more, but Spider-Man is at the top of his game, keeping New York City safe. Things are going well until an unusual trail of crimes pulls him into a web of mystery larger than he's ever faced before. And then we've got something kind of coming back to prepare to face the repercussions of his past. So let's talk this. The idea of like a web of mystery that sort of leads him through like a trail of crimes. To me, this solidifies the idea of multiple villains in here. This feels like a lot of these characters, like a Boomerang, like a tarantula, at least. These feel like secondary villains that may not necessarily be on screen very long. This feels like we're definitely going to be seeing Spider-Man in his neighborhood friendly mindset of stopping crimes, multiple crimes throughout this movie. And it seems the crimes that he does stop will probably be by some of these characters that we've seen so far in regards to Scorpion and Tarantula and Boomerang. So I don't expect them to have big amounts of time, but definitely some key and important battles here for Spider-Man in this movie that will then, I think, leave breadcrumbs for this bigger mystery to kind of be resolved. There are elements about this synopsis that for some reason kind of screams your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from the animated series, if you guys ever sort of checked it out, right? The idea of a trail of crimes that were being created by these villains who have sort of gotten power upgrades. I believe Speed Demon was one of them. I think Tarantula might have been in there in that series also. Scorpion was in them. It was in that animated series also. But the key was these villains were getting upgrades from a mysterious benefactor behind the scenes, right? And so the idea of stopping each crime, finding sort of the pieces that connect with one another that will then lead you to whoever the big bad is. I think in the animated series, it's got to be Dr. Octopus. But it kind of feels like this Spider-Man movie is taking influence from the animated series in that regards of giving us countless villains that he has to face off against, but each villain that he takes out will then lead him to either the next villain and then kind of higher up the chain, if you will, as he puts it together. So the concept of a mystery in a Spider-Man movie kind of really works for me, and I will be kind of curious to see if there's any really cool twists and turns, and if it leads us to somebody that we don't necessarily kind of expect. But I kind of dig the idea of multiple villains in here where you can give a great shout out and a nod to some of the great Spider-Man villains of the past that maybe don't necessarily warrant their own individual movie, like Tarantula sort of thing, right? But you can you can give them time to actually be adapted in live action at some point. I think like Tombstone is even going to be in this movie also. With Scorpion coming back, I personally am not necessarily the biggest fan of the new Scorpion design, if I could be quite frank with you, but I would be kind of curious to see how Scorpion plays a role in here, and who the true big bad of this movie is going to end up being, if it's going to be somebody like Tombstone that's pulling the strings here in this movie. Again, 4 years is also a big gap, which we talked about. The fact that the synopsis talks about him being Peter Parker is no more. He's fully Spider-Man. So I am kind of curious as to what Peter's personal life is like. Does he even have a personal life? Is he just like, I'm just going to school and it's been 4 years, right? So did he even go to school? I would assume maybe he went to the university, but like it feels like maybe we're catching up to him in like his junior, senior year of college, if that's the route that he decided to go. So a lot of time has certainly passed. Has he established anything for himself, or has it been work over these past 4 years? I think that'll certainly tell us a lot about the Tom Holland Peter Parker Spider-Man when we get into this. And as far as like repercussions from his past, I do wonder what that suggests, if that's something to do with like the passing of Aunt May. I talked about the influences, it feels like, from the animated series, with Dr. Octopus sort of being, I don't want to say necessarily the big bad, but I guess it was also Norman Osborn kind of involved in that. I wonder if Norman Osborn is revealed in here. Maybe some of the repercussions of some of the stuff that has happened in the past leads us to Norman Osborn or Dr. Octopus of this universe. I don't know. I'm just going off of influences from the animated series itself, or really, who knows what repercussions of his past certainly might be. Maybe it's a weird Tony Stark reveal of Doctor Doom by the end of this in regards to his past kind of coming back to haunt him. But I don't know. I really don't know. I love the mystery. It is a web of mysteries that they refer to in here. So I'm kind of liking the buildup of what this could potentially lead to. But my excitement level for this movie is officially through the roof already. I am kind of surprised we have not gotten ourselves a trailer yet for this movie. Hopefully it's one that certainly comes relatively soon. But yeah, everything else looks like it's going pretty good. I'm really waiting for this trailer. It says it could drop in March or April, and I'm just trying to think to myself, like, let me see. Give me one moment. Big Sony movies in March. Let me see. You've got Sony Pictures got GOAT. Is that the only thing that they've got? I'm trying to think of like if there's a Sony or Marvel movie coming out in March or anything like that, or April, that this trailer could certainly be attached to. Did GOAT already come out? When does GOAT come out? Oh, never mind. GOAT comes out February 13th. It already came out, I believe. So no, probably not. Is Project Hail Mary by maybe Project Hail Mary? If is that a Sony Pictures? I'm not sure. But I don't know. We'll see if they attach to anything else in particular. But if you guys have any idea as to where it could where they could drop this, let me know. Cody says only took 9 years to bring Scorpion back. Yeah, they also tried to bring Homeboy back in Venom, didn't they? Wasn't that the Venom movie with where am I tripping? Where do we have Michael? Was it Michael? Yeah, Mike. No, not Venom. I'm sorry. It was Michael Keaton and Scorpion at the end of Homecoming. And then I think Michael Keaton, was then teased in like the Venom movie or some shit like that. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it took him 9 years to bring him back. So I hope he's got a relatively significant part in this movie. If Peter Parker is no more, what does he call himself? I was thinking about this the other day too. When I read this, like if Peter Parker is gone, right? Like if Peter Parker just never existed and you can't find his name listed anywhere in the world. Like I'm kind of curious as to how deep that really goes. Um, if Peter Parker is no more, what name is he going by? And the first name that comes to mind for me is Ben Riley, right? Like that's the first name that comes to my mind. It's like if there was going to be any other name synonymous with Peter Parker that he would change it to, just based off of the history of Spider-Man, um, I would think it would be Ben Riley. Or maybe he changes his name to maybe Uncle Ben's name, maybe Ben Parker. Maybe he changes it to Ben Parker. Um, Maybe we don't go the Ben Riley route. Maybe we go the Ben Parker route. Maybe he takes up his father's name, Richard Parker. Those might be my three options: Richard Parker, Ben Parker, or maybe even Ben Riley. Um, look, as somebody that was a fan of the Clone Saga back in the 90s, I know it was like really panned, I believe maybe even back in the day. I don't know how people feel about the Clone Saga now from Spider-Man, but I was always a big fan of it. I always loved Ben Riley and the Scarlet Spider story, the idea of Jackal creating a clone of him. There's a part of me thinking like if he did change his name to Ben Riley in this movie, will this new trilogy like bring forth a Clone Saga? And if it does bring forth a Clone Saga, when they talk about repercussions from his past, was there a moment in time in any of the previous trilogies where Spider-Man, or in any of the movies that Spider-Man has been in, where he could have been swapped out by the Jackal for this clone, and we're just now realizing the differences? You know what I mean? Like I do wonder, maybe something happened within this 4 years that we're not aware of, and there was a switch up. I'm not quite sure. But if there is any name that I think Peter Parker would call himself, if this spell does go pretty deep, I don't know why, but Ben Riley is the first thing that kind of comes to my mind. So yeah, I would love to see Tom Holland, Ben Riley in this movie. I think it'd be pretty dope. If it leads to anything, who certainly knows, but I would love to see it. Let me know your guys' thoughts. You hear this brand new synopsis, you see some of the promotional art in regards to some of the characters that are going to be popping up in this movie. Are you putting some of the pieces together? Is it kind of starting to form for you in your head what this movie certainly might be about? Where's your anticipation on that level at now? I definitely want to know your thoughts in the comment section box below. We will stay in the world of Spider-Man in a sense, but this is going to be more or less on the Sony side of things, as Venom is back in the news. Though don't worry, we're not getting ourselves another Tom Hardy Venom live action film. We've gotten our trilogy out of the way. But the fact that Venom is even in the news already, fresh off of The Last Dance from what, like 2 years ago, is kind of a surprise. We've been kind of trying to figure out what Sony is going to do next, right? Like they've kind of put a stop to all of their live action stuff right now from their Spider-Man universe. And they've really been focusing on trying to put together Spider-Man Brand New Day. And then their report was, after we focus on releasing that movie, then we'll focus on where we want to go back with some of these characters. But it seems like on the animated side of things, they're not slowing down. As it seems as though the next time that we do see Venom will in fact be in an animated movie. That's right, you heard me correctly. According to the Hollywood Reporter here this week, a Venom animated movie is in the works, with Final Destination filmmakers attached to the project. Again, this comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. A Venom animated movie in the works. It says Sony's Venom franchise has a new Final Destination. It's developing its first animated movie based on the character. It has tapped Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein, the duo behind last year's surprise hit Final Destination Bloodlines, to direct the project. Amy Pascal, Avi Arad, and Matt Tolmach, who worked on the Venom movies, will produce the feature. Tom Hardy, who starred in the studio's recent trio of live action films as Eddie Brock, is involved in the animated project as well. So the fact that he's attached as a producer does make me wonder if Tom Hardy will also be voicing uh, Venom in this movie too. No writer is attached to the project, although Sony's animation arm is opening up a writer's room to develop a script or takes. So this is very much in early development, considering the fact that they don't have a writer as of yet. It's literally just, hey, we have this idea. We've got a writer that we have a director that has a vision, but we need to put the story together still. So this is very um, early pieces of putting together. Going the animation route, in theory, allows Sony to keep Venom related content fresh and relevant. Their animation has found great success and Oscar Gold, making animated Spider-Verse movies with Lord and Miller as writers and producer. The animation process, however, is painstakingly slow, and with the script not even on the horizon, any Venom movie is years away. Yeah, this is still very much early development. So they're definitely not at that point just yet. I do like the idea of the Final Destination bloodlines being attached to this as far as directors go. It Final Destination is not going to win any Oscar nominations anytime soon, but it was a fun sort of summer blockbuster. Did it come out in summer also? I believe it did. It was a fun film. I had a good time at the theaters. Acting maybe not necessarily the best, but you go to Final Destination for the gnarly death sequences, if you know what I mean. And it was just the concept of the latest entries was pretty cool. So it worked for me. So I'm glad that they're getting a shot to kind of do this in the animation world now. But I do have some questions. One definitely being, with Tom Hardy being part of a producer, not only will he end up voicing this character, but is this going to be a continuation also from the Venom movies that we've gotten? Like, I wonder if they view this as, look, going live action right now is a financial risk. There's so many other characters that we probably could explore, but like, out of all the characters that we own in our Spider-Man universe, outside of Spider-Man himself, Venom is probably like the most recognizable name that we have. So let's try and find and utilize another way to do this if we wanted to. So it does make me wonder if the Venom story continues in animation form from whatever they did in the trilogy, or if this is really going to be its own new sort of standalone movies. If you wanted to get into the world of the symbiotes a little bit more, if we wanted to introduce people like Null, being able to do it on an animation front, probably financially would probably be the better route for them to go. And based off of, like the article said, what Sony Pictures Animation has been able to do, probably gives them a little bit more confidence that, yeah, maybe animation route is the way to go for this character, especially if the characters that we're going to use are going to be really special effects heavy. Let's just kind of lean a little bit more into the animation side of things. Now, if there is a concern that I have, while I am a fan of what Sony Pictures Animation is capable of doing, I mean, I think they didn't they do K-pop Demon Hunter also, if I'm not mistaken. Give me 1 second here. What studio was behind K-pop Demon Hunter? I thought that was the Sony. I thought Sony Pictures Animation. Yeah, Sony Pictures Animation. Well, maybe I shouldn't be that trepidatious. The one thing that I think stood out to me for this article was Amy Pascal, AV Arad producing it. You know who I didn't see on the list of producers? Lord and Miller. Lord and Miller. I did not see them attached to this in any form, whether that be writing, whether that be producing. despite what they've been able to do with the Spider-Verse stuff in regards to it being an Oscar nomination. They're nowhere to be seen. And look, that's not to say that's Sony Pictures Animation can't do great movies, because they just literally did K-pop Demon Hunter, which was a blast. But when it comes to their comic book characters, if you are not named Lord and Miller, the comic book stuff has just fallen by the wayside. And so, you know, even if this is Sony Pictures Animation that's doing it, the producers behind it do have me a little bit concerned. And so while I do think Sony Pictures Animation does great things, I don't know if I've seen them do great things for the superhero genre when Lord and Miller are not attached to it. Like, I do wonder if this will still be just as big of a debacle as live action stuff would be, because of the fact that Lord and Miller are not attached to it. Now, if there's anything promising about this, it's the fact that they're putting together a writer's room. So it's not like the idea of like, hey, we want to bring in this writer and these directors and flesh out a script and kind of make it work. The fact that they are going to have a writer's room, so you're going to have multiple ideas bounced around, does give me hope that they can flesh out a relatively good script that will really surprise a lot of us. So if there's any hope that I have for this movie, it's really is the capacity of them coming together for a writer's room, which I think is really smart on their part. I think writer rooms are really needed a lot more, whether that be television and movies, when trying to come up with good scripts. And so the idea of a writer's room keeps me a little bit more optimistic in regards to it. But again, if anything Spider-Man related does not have Lord and Miller attached to it, I'm going to be very trepidatious. I'm going to be really just anxious about how development for this happens to turn out. Again, this is very early development for it. There's not even a writer involved. The writer's room has not been even established as of yet. It just seems like it's a concept with a director on board that clearly has a vision for what he wants to do. And if we're bringing in the Final Destination filmmakers, maybe they can get away with this being an animated adult sort of film, something that's like rated R. But who knows? I'm trying to think of like Predator Killers of Killers. Was that rated R or was that PG-13? I would be kind of curious to see how serious they take something like a Venom animated movie. But we'll see if this actually ever does get to see the light of day. But as of right now, it seems as though, despite all the characters that Sony could use, they're going to go back to their bread and butter of Venom in here, and hopefully more details will certainly will pop back up. Cody says, I remember Michael Keaton in Morbius. Okay, maybe that's what maybe that's what I was thinking of, and not the Venom movies. It might have been Morbius. You're right. Thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to a Venom animated movie. Are you excited for it? Is that something that you want to see? Are there other characters that Sony has that you would like to see them try and pull the trigger on? Let me know your guys' thoughts. Do I got any more coffee left? Yeah, I do. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we are going to stay in the world of comic books. We're going to stay on the MCU side of things. I know we jumped to Sony Pictures briefly, but I do want to jump back over to the MCU, as we got ourselves a big movie ahead in Avengers Doomsday that a lot of us are certainly looking forward to. We got two big MCU movies this year, Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday. And as we get closer, I expect the marketing campaign for Avengers Doomsday to continue to tick upwards. We've had some incredible little teasers for characters that have dropped over the past several months. And one of those characters, in fact, being Thor, who the last time that we saw Thor from the teaser, he was praying to the gods, praying to his father Odin to kind of protect him in battle. He's got something to fight for now, as he's got a little girl back at home that he wants to be able to come back home to and settle down and help raise. So the stakes for our God of Thunder have certainly have certainly changed. And it does make one wonder, with the stakes as high as they are for Thor, and some of the teases that we've had kind of all season long of, is this going to be the last film for Chris Hemsworth? Is he sticking around, sort of thing, or not? It seems as though Chris Hemsworth would love to continue to stick around for Thor, as the future for Thor has certainly been discussed a little bit. So let's go ahead and talk about this. I am always, I don't want to say I'm always wary of things like this, but with Avengers Doomsday set to kind of head on out, I always wondered and ask myself, like, is it the best idea to talk about a character's future before a big Doomsday movie winds up coming out, right? Like, do you undercut any stakes or risks or any sort of storyline arcs that Thor may certainly have in Avengers Doomsday? Like, if people were worried and concerned, oh my God, is Thor going to make it out of this movie alive? Like, doing these interviews talking about the future of your characters, does that like immediately ruin the stakes or a character arc for a character, like to look forward to when it comes to Avengers Doomsday? Like, should I just like not even worry about what Thor's story is going to be anymore, because I know he's going to make it through Doomsday and Secret Wars at this point, or at least it feels like it. Like, this could just all be one gigantic swerve by Chris Hemsworth, and he's just talking about where he would like to see his character go. But lo and behold, come Doomsday, it's like, I just tricked y'all. I tricked y'all. This was a farewell for me after all, sort of thing. But Chris Hemsworth hopes that there's certainly more for his character. He says he isn't done with Thor. He teases a couple more post Doomsday appearances and a unique evolution for the God of Thunder. Let's go ahead and check this out here. Smartless co-host Sean Hayes marveled that Hemsworth Doomsday turn would mark his 10th outing as the God of Thunder, which prompted the actor to say there's a couple more times still ahead. Oh, there's more? Sean Hayes asked, excited. Chris Hemsworth confirmed, yeah, it's wild. One of those appearances will surely be Avengers Secret Wars, but the actor's comments still give fans hope for a Thor 5. Hemsworth said the joy of playing Thor has been watching the tone evolve from the self-serious Thor to the much wackier Thor Ragnarok. He added it gets bored playing one note, and the MCU has allowed for different versions of the character. He says, it's been so much fun, and what I've really enjoyed it, unlike what I've really enjoyed it, unlike a lot of what the other characters, the actors were given, they have had to be pretty consistent. Whereas working with Taika Waititi on his films versus Kenneth Branagh with those films, and then with the Russos, all the films had quite a different sort of tonal opinion. But the Russos also let me try different things. It's the same with my tattoos. I'd be getting really bored with the same thing and having a real need to kind of throw the performance in different directions. The actor also teased a new evolution in store for Thor and Doomsday and beyond. He says, I was talking to Kevin Feige about it, and he said it's cool because the audience now expects dramatic turns with the character. And whatever we do next, we've got some ideas to do something pretty unique again and hopefully be different. Hemsworth also pointed out that even the comic books have plenty of variations and takes on the characters. So the tonal swing in Thor were simply taking cues from what the source material has already explored. That said, maybe we shouldn't expect Thor to stay in the comedy lane. Hemsworth, who has commented on this before, still sounds a little stung by the hostile reception of Love and Thunder. He says, you do need to be careful. Framing it as a cautionary tale about Love and Thunder and pushing the comedy beyond the audience's comfort zone. When we made Ragnarok, it was quite a twist with Taika's film, and it was so fun. There was a huge appreciation for this shift. And then with Love and Thunder, it was kind of like a Monty Python sketch. I go, that is like the most accurate description of what Love and Thunder felt like, a Monty Python sketch. and we took the piss probably a little a little much. And then there was some backlash. There was this real kind of, why is he a goofball and why is it like this? And audiences violently offended, and we were like, oh, we're just having fun and trying something different. So I think he even understands the idea of, like, maybe we went a little bit too far with the love and thunder thing, but it does seem as though Chris Hemsworth himself is ready. And I think Kevin Feige's smart about this in the sense of what they've been able to do with the character, of giving him a lot of different switches when it comes to his personality and just tone in general. Really allows Thor to be probably one of the more flexible characters that we've seen. And I think it also makes sense with him being the god of thunder. This is a guy that's lived around for centuries. I'm sure you change as a character over that huge sort of expanse of time. And so if there's anybody that has that ability to kind of grow or even fall back into regress a little bit at times, it probably is the Thor character. So one of the things that I like about this article here is the idea that he seems like he really wants to explore different aspects of Thor and allow that to kind of breathe a little bit, and show that he's a little bit more than what he was even in Ragnarok or Love and Thunder. And I talked about at the beginning of this episode that I went and I saw the new movie Crime 101 starring Chris Hemsworth. And I gotta tell you, man, he is a really good actor. Like, he's a really good actor. Um, I saw him also a couple years back in that Furiosa movie, the Mad Max story or something like that. The Furiosa movie where he plays the villain. Dude, he was so compelling in that movie. He was so good, so enjoyable every time that he was on screen. And it really showed what he was kind of capable of doing outside of just Thor, right? Like, I think he was also in, I think he was in Cabin in the Woods, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I think he was also in another race car movie called Rush that I hadn't seen that movie, but I think he's gotten some pretty good praise in regards to his performance. But when you're so used to seeing him just as Thor, and you see him outside of that role. When I saw him in Furiosa, I was blown away. When I saw him in Crime 101, I was also again blown away. Whether it's just his mannerisms, the slight facial expressions that changes on his face that allow you to be able to, like, just read his face or read what he's thinking just based off of his facial expressions, how he tackles a character. I mean, I was really impressed. And if there's anybody that I think can give Thor even more range than what we've already seen from him, I mean, the death of his mother, the loss of his mother, him having to revisit his mom in Endgame and things like that, seeing, yes, it was comedic at times, but to be able to see him get into his emotional bag, like, Chris Hemsworth is so talented. And he is one of these characters that I definitely would love to stick with for a really long period of time, to just see how this Thor character evolves. It doesn't matter what type of reboots or resets that we go through. I think if there's any character that can kind of survive all of that and sort of be like, I don't want to say the watcher of this universe, but somebody that, like, knows the lore of what this universe has been through, I think Thor can kind of be that story keeper or that lore keeper, similar to him and whatever Loki's kind of doing as the god of stories right now, right? But, like, from a lived experience, I think Thor fits that character really well. And so I do think there's a plethora of different storylines that they can go down. One of the things that I really would like to see them try to adapt is the King Thor storyline from the comic books. I think it was a limited series run. I don't think King Thor lasted too long. I don't know. I can't remember if that story still dealt with the last villain that we had from Love and Thunder, the God Butcher or something like that. I can't remember if it incorporated him in that or not, but it highlighted really, like, three different variations of the Thor character, from when he was younger to sort of like his current run of Thor, and then him again as King Thor, like, sitting on the throne. He's, like, lost one arm, but I believe it's, like, now the Destroyer's arm or something like that. He's got a beard, he's got an eye patch, the gray hair, like everything, and he's kind of sitting on like this lonely throne. I really would like to see him get to that point in time. I don't know how you make a Thor 5. I don't know where they go, but again, I think there's plenty of storylines they could definitely kind of tap into if they want to. But the one I personally would like to see would be sort of a King Thor aspect. Whether or not they ask Chris Hemsworth to play like 3 different versions of himself, or maybe he just plays the one older version. Maybe you have a battle with him in Galactus or something like that. I personally would love to see the different directions that this character goes into. So while I know he's got a lot of stakes that he's certainly already fighting for when it comes to Avengers Doomsday, if Thor, in fact, does make it out of Doomsday and Secret Wars kind of intact, I think if there's anybody that you continue to keep around and expand and do different things with, Thor is definitely one of those. Because that would technically be like his 5th movie, and I don't know anybody else that has gotten a 5th movie in the MCU, with the exception of maybe Spider-Man creeping up on him getting his 4th movie. So to be around that long, I think showcases not only how good Chris Hemsworth is in his in this role, but their ability to be able to change and switch things up for him, which I think is really, really important. And I think he's one of those characters, like even after a dud like Love and Thunder, which I think still made a ton of money at the box office. Love and Thunder box office, maybe Love and Thunder, it made $760 million. Maybe Love and Thunder may undercut a Thor 5 financially a little bit. Like maybe a Thor 5 only makes 500 something million or 600 something million dollars. I think people are forgiving enough to want to see another Thor 5, another Thor movie, and see if they can change things around. And I think if Chris Hemsworth and whoever's on board can change things around, I think there's no reason to suggest that we can't get a Thor 5 or even a Thor 6 and have it be financially successful. So keeping my fingers crossed. But I'd love to hear this from Chris Hemsworth, someone who's clearly on board to change things up a bit and still continue along with this character after such a long period of time. 10 outings. He's had 10 outings as Thor. That's so crazy to me. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, we got one more topic for you guys today. As for those of you who don't know, Paramount Pictures was just recently purchased by Skydance and David Ellison and Larry Ellison. And they've been, now that they are the heads over at Paramount, they have been trying to come up with new creative ways on reinventing some of the franchises that they have the intellectual properties of. And one of those is, in fact, TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. One of their first, it seems like, announcements outside of like this big, well, first off, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did just recently make a big announcement for the franchise in regards to teaming up with, was it Mattel or Playmates, I believe, Playmates, in regards to brand new toy lines. I think they're coming out with like a Last Ronin novelization or like a junior novelization of some sort. But they decided to go ahead and actually cancel the live action Last Ronin movie, which really upset a lot of people, as I think a lot of TMNT fans were really excited to kind of get really what was going to turn out to be a rated R film for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it seems as though the new management involved wants to kind of stay a little bit more kid friendly. So while the announcement of the Last Ronin being canceled, or at least shelved for right now, has disappointed some fans, there are some people that definitely have the belief that it's only a matter of time, that it will in fact continue, but it's only a matter of time. Pexi corrected me. It's Mattel. I thought it was Playmates, but it's Mattel. Thank you so much, Pexi. So let's go ahead and dive into this article, because it's not just anybody that believes that there's still hope for a Last Ronin movie. It's actually the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that believe there's still hope. This comes to us from Entertainment Weekly. It says the Last Ronin co-creators not disheartened at all about fate of movie adaptation. I think it will happen, according to them. This is an exclusive report. Let's dive in. So last November, Paramount's live-action rated R movie adaptation of The Last Ronin went back on the shelf for the time being. The news broke the hearts of the Rabbit fans eager to see it. However, if you ask two of the chief architects of the Roninverse, Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz, hope abounds. They say, I don't think the movie's off the table. I think it's just delayed. Eastman, who co-created the Last Ronin comics, spoke to EW during an interview with his co-writer to announce the arrival of a Training Day prequel comic centered around the characters of Mikey and Casey Jones. Eastman acknowledges the franchise is in a bit of a transitional period at the moment. He said, this is what Eastman said. Speaking with all the folks at Viacom and Paramount and Nickelodeon who love the Turtles and really have done a fantastic job, whether it be the 2012 series all the way to Mutant Mayhem, I don't think it will not happen. I think it will happen. One of the things that anybody I've talked to at the companies, they know the fans love and support all things Last Ronin. As much as another group of fans loves everything Point Grey, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, and everybody has done with the whole Mutant Mayhem franchise, we're not disheartened at all. Yeah, this is the Last Ronin Training Day artwork, it looks like, also that they're looking to do. Actress Judith Hoag revealed that she had been approached to appear in the Last Ronin movie before it was stalled. She said it's kind of goes back to timing. Let's say if the movie happened, Training Day hasn't happened yet. We won't be like George R.R. Martin, where the other media is ahead of us. So we can tell this complete story now, have it done. Training Day is better because of the experience we've already had. So now I think the movie can only be better because now there's more data. There's more to choose from. Maybe you can't put that Training Day sequence into the movie. It wouldn't have existed before, or it wouldn't have been ours. So yeah, she had been approached. Judith Hoag played the original April O'Neil, and she had been approached to certainly return for Ronin. But you know, according to Kevin Eastman, Viacom, Paramount, and Nickelodeon are very much aware that the fans really want the Last Ronin. And I do think he makes a good point here in the sense that these companies have really done a fantastic job, I personally think, with Ninja Turtles. While I haven't watched everything Ninja Turtles, the Ninja Turtle stuff that I have watched or have come into contact with from Paramount and Nickelodeon and Viacom, I've really enjoyed a lot of them. I really have. So, you know, maybe they do have a pulse on what it is that the fans certainly want. And if Kevin Eastman is not disheartened at all, if he thinks that it will happen at some point in time, it's just things are in a little bit of a transitional period as of right now, you know, I'm gonna tend to believe him here. I will say this though. Well, look, I don't know when it will happen means, right? And I say that because we still have Mutant Mayhem that's set to drop in 2027. So that's certainly still a go. We do know that they want to launch also a new TMNT movie. I can't remember if they have a writer on board already. I believe they have a writer on board. I don't believe that they have a director attached yet. So it still feels like it's in very early development. It's kind of still in the works to actually happen. So if anything, I expect that they would want that movie to kind of come out first. And maybe establish like a second movie or maybe even a trilogy before this Ronin movie kind of comes out. So while he's not disheartened at all about it, the reality, I think, of a Last Ronin, anything actually happening, I mean, 2030 maybe, right? I mean, we're talking about maybe another 4 years. If that's the case of like, hey, we want to put out that's Mutant Mayhem coming out in 2027, and then maybe a live action TMNT if everything gets rolling on time, but before the end of this year, maybe you get like a 2028 sort of release. And then, who knows? Maybe after that, they're like, hey, we're finally going to adapt this Last Ronin thing. Or who knows? Maybe they're like, we're going to make a sequel to this new TMNT movie. Well, that might take us to 2030, right? So, yeah, I think anything Last Ronin related probably won't drop until like either 2030 or maybe even like 2032 or 2031 or something like that. Just because I think Paramount, while I think they probably still want to do it in some capacity, it feels like there's other things that are prioritized above this as of right now. Who knows? Maybe they even want to do a new animated series after Mutant Mayhem kind of wraps things up. Because I'm just not under the impression that while Mutant Mayhem had been successful, I just don't know if they have plans on doing anything else after the sequel for Mutant Mayhem in that regards, despite it being, I think, for the most part, pretty well received. So, look, it's still up in the air when it comes to Paramount Plus. Can the Ellisons actually control a movie studio and make compelling movies? I think a lot of when The Last Ronin will drop will be dependent on the success of whatever this new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sort of movies and series slate might look like. And if it's not gaining enough traction, then maybe The Last Ronin gets its opportunity to switch things up for TMNT a little bit, or maybe it just falls by the wayside. But if the co-creators are not disheartened at all, or believe it will come in time, I'm going to go ahead and believe them, Kevin Eastman and them. But I do think it's quite a ways away. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you think The Last Ronin will ever see the light of day? Or do you think they're holding on to hopes that maybe necessarily aren't there? Peg C says Last Ronin would make an awesome anime TV series. I'm sure that probably would be pretty badass. I'm not going to lie. Heck, I wouldn't even mind a television series. You don't even necessarily need to be an anime TV series, but I would be open to that. That might, if I'm going to be honest with you, that might actually, I don't want to say that might be the better route to go, but I mean, if we're talking like financial risk side of things, and we're talking adult oriented side of things, maybe you are immediately shooting yourself in the foot from a franchise perspective of what you can be making at the box office. Although TMNT is one of those franchises that I just think kids are not. It's been around for such a long time that I think it certainly has its fan base and its adult fan base that would come out and support it on the big screen. But if it is a worry of it's rated R, we're taking this kid property and making it into an adult version, right? So you're immediately eliminating kids from coming to see this film. Maybe the better route is a television series, especially how streaming services are currently doing right now. Look at something like Shogun or The Last Samurai. Maybe, work in those veins of something a little darker, a little bit more mature. Especially if you're talking about The Last Ronin, I think something like, a little bit more gritty within the city. I think that'd be pretty dope. Give me like a limited series of The Last Ronin. I'll take that. So who knows? We'll see. Maybe it goes from the idea of, hey, even though we want to expand upon where Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is right now as more of a kid-friendly franchise, right? They talk about the idea of it being in veins of like Sonic, like the Sonic movies, right? If that's the direction that they want to go with TMNT, The Last Ronin on the big screen kind of hinders that a little bit. But if you were to keep that Sonic vibe for the movies, to hit like your 4 quadrants, to be able to have those movies make a lot of money because it appeals to everybody, keep that on the movie side of things. But if you wanted to explore the franchise in other realms, the idea of taking The Last Ronin and turning it from a movie into a television series, I think is actually probably the smarter idea to go. So I think you might be onto something, Peg C. Maybe not necessarily. I don't necessarily know if I would want to see it in an anime TV series, but in a live action TV series, I'll take The Last Ronin. I think it would be really risk averse for Paramount to do it that way if they wanted to. On the Paramount Plus streaming service, I'd watch that shit in a heartbeat. Why not? But thanks for bringing that up, Pixie. I appreciate it. But let me know your guys' thoughts in regards to the creators, the co-creators of TMNT and The Last Ronin. Very much have hopes that it will happen someday. Let me know if you share that same sentiment, though, in the comment section box below in the live chat. And with that, oh, you know what? Hold on. Before I do that, I should probably pull this stuff up. And with that out of the way, I think you guys know what time it is.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into some live viewer questions for you guys here today. It would help if I got to switch my account here. View your channel. There we go. Let me go ahead and bring this up. So we're going to get to our live viewer questions portion of the show. And if you ever want to submit over a live viewer question, how do you do so? Well, I'll show you right here. Every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, I will make a live viewer question post. Just go over to our YouTube channel as you see here. Click on this post tab. Voila. And live viewer questions posted 3 hours ago. We've got some comments here. Let's go ahead and sort these out. Let's see what we got. All right. AJ, the Morphin Grid. Lothor used his dark ninja powers to trick the Thunder Rangers? Given that Lothor's demonstrated the ability to manipulate Cam's mother Miko's mind with dark ninja powers in the past during Samurai's journey, is it possible he used the same mental influence to force Hunter and Blake to witness a false vision of Sensei Watanabe killing their parents? Since he later successfully used mind erasing spells and later corrupted morphers to turn the Wind Rangers against the Dino Rangers, does his history of magical gaslighting suggest that the Thunder Rangers were never just not the brightest bulbs, but were actually victims of high-level sensory manipulation? If Lothor was present at the scene of the crime and had the power to turn his eyes pitch black with a single spell, could he have fundamentally rewritten the Bradley brothers' memories to ensure their lifelong loyalty to his cause? Maybe, but I think they probably would explain that in the show had that been the case. Like I don't think I don't think that's something that happens behind the scenes without further explanation, unless it really did happen. So I like where your head is at. I think if anything, I don't know if that's true or not, because I do think if something like that did happen, it might have been explored a little bit more in the series itself. So probably not. But I like where your head's at. Peg C, what's up, Peg C? In Toy Story 5, the roles of Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head have been recast with veteran voice actors Jeff Bergman and Anna Vocina taking over for the late Don Rickles and Estella Harris. Gamers Radar confirmed that Bergman, known for his work in Looney Tunes, and Vocino, recognized for her work in The Last of Us Part 2, would provide voices for the characters. Don Rickles passed in 2017 and Estelle Harris passed in 2022. What are your thoughts? Look, I mean, the fact that they're veteran voice actors alone, I think are going to be smart. I will be kind of curious. I can't remember in the trailer if we did hear him voice Mr. Potato Head already in the trailers. I almost, to me at least, it's been, like I said, I didn't watch Toy Story 4. So I can't quite remember off the top of my head how Mr. Potato Head sounded like, but just listening to him from the trailer alone, it feels like a really smooth transition. So yeah, so I mean, you get veteran voice actors. For somebody that worked on Looney Tunes for years and The Last of Us Part Two, I think those are solid additions to the cast. But we'll see how they do when it comes to the movie itself. But yeah, definitely a necessary recast. Have you had a chance to watch the first episode of Sheriff Gavin Infinity? If so, what are your initial thoughts? I have not. I have not, Peg. So you did send me the link. Maybe I'll try and do that today. If I get some time to myself today, maybe I'll go ahead and try and pull up those links. Maybe see if I can blow them up on the big screen television and watch the first 2 episodes. Maybe give my my thoughts on it in a review or something like that. But I know you said you had been enjoying it so far, so I'll check it out for sure. But no, I have not seen it yet. Havoc is going to be in season 2 of X-Men 97. It was never addressed that Havoc and Cyclops were actually brothers. Do you think they'll explore that in season 2 of X-Men? What are your thoughts? Were you fans of the Havoc character in the original X-Men series? I've always had a soft spot for Alex Summers as Havoc. He always had like one of the simplest costumes, I thought, but always the coolest. Whether it was with the headpiece or not, or if it was just the all black outfit with the circular white circles on his chest, or even the classic sort of 90s like X Factor look that he had. Although I wasn't necessarily a big fan of his X Factor look. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I always appreciated like the giant size X-Men kind of vibes of Havoc from back in the day, like the Chris Claremont kind of stuff. I was a fan of Havoc, and I would like to see more of Alex and Scott together as brothers on the small screen. With him being in season 2, we have a lot of time displacement happening in here. Different characters in different time periods. So I don't know if we're going to get a lot of Havoc and Cyclops explored in season 2 or not, but I do hope at some point in time that it does. The summers in general are just really important to the X-Men storyline in some capacity. So I would like to see that explored. Maybe not season 2, but maybe in season 3. But yeah, I've always been a big fan of his. His relationship also with Polaris was always an interesting one. What didn't he? Wasn't he with Madeline prior to, or am I tripping? I want to say they had relationships also, which always like as toxic as it gets, but it was always a fascinating one to me. The Madeline Pryor and Havoc stuff. They even had a recent run when they were on the same team in the comic books. I'm trying to remember what the name of the series was. Oh, Dark X-Men. That was pretty trippy. Also, seeing what their what their relationship kind of turns into. But I think Havoc has some really compelling storylines I would like to kind of see explored a little bit more. Marky Parko. While many actors fear the shadow of their most famous role, Jason Biggs viewed his American Pie fame as a consistent engine for his career rather than a cage. He leaned into the comedy genre that embraced him, recognizing that being typecast provided a steady stream of opportunities that many in Hollywood never received. By finding his own voice, even when stepping behind the camera to direct, did he effectively prove that longevity in the industry comes from playing to your strengths rather than fighting your legacy and impact? Give me one moment here. Let me look up Jason Biggs. I know who you're referring to, but I'm also in the back of my head trying to figure out like what else I've seen him in. Because I mean, he had a run from the early 2000s to maybe 2028. Maybe yeah, like I'm looking at his IMBD, and like it felt like a lot of his stuff came really great from like early 20s to maybe 2010s, early 2010s. So he had a really significant run, but like after that, I don't I don't know if he fell off acting wise. Like you said, maybe he took up some directing roles too. So maybe he like by being so well, he's only got one directing thing. He's been kind of active though. It does say in here he's pretty active. 2024, 2022, 2021. I'm not familiar with a lot of his work though, to be honest with you. After his all of his previous movies, looks like he popped up as in Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Um, but like anything really good, probably not anything past 2012 at the best. At the latest, American Reunion back in 2012. But he's had other roles, but it just doesn't look like maybe great stuff. So I mean, maybe like when I looked at director, it only shows that he's got one directing thing, a couple producer things. But I don't know if it's the longevity. Did he effectively prove that longevity in the industry comes from playing to your strengths rather than fighting your legacy and impact? I mean, his longevity lasted him about maybe 10 good years. And then maybe he's coasting on just name recognition and like a facial features, and people like, oh yeah, I know you, you're the American Pie guy. I think he's probably carved himself a place in pop culture. I don't know if it lands him any roles currently, or at least good. I mean, well, clearly it does land him some roles, whether that be good roles or impactful roles, who certainly knows. But rather than fighting your legacy and impact, I mean, I think it was a good. I think it could be seen both ways. I don't necessarily know if it's like one way to kind of do it. Like, I don't blame actors wanting to change things up and not be typecast in a role, especially if you know your strengths and your weaknesses, right? Like Chris Hemsworth, I think is recognizes that, the fact that he's been this Thor character for such a long time. Maybe he's played like the bumbling idiot roles before because he's a big buff guy. He's got the blue or green eyes and the blonde hair sort of thing, right? Like he fits that easily typecast role. But he's adamant in the sense of like, I'm just a better actor than that. Like I'm more than that. And he continues to want to do other things. So I don't know if that's fighting his legacy. So I don't know if that's fighting his legacy and impact because of the things that he's done before, or if he just doesn't want to be typecast because he knows that he's better than that. Whereas when I think of somebody like Jason Biggs, granted, I have not really seen him outside of American Pie. I don't know if I've seen Jason Biggs. I personally yet haven't not seen him do it. I'm sure he has, but I haven't seen him do anything successful in the sense of showcasing that he's more than just that American Pie guy. Like maybe he's not that good of an actor. And so he knows like the roles that I do get after American Pie, those will certainly hold me over. But my bread and butter, the things that I've been really good at, has been the American Pie stuff. And so I'm just going to lean into it because I know I don't necessarily have that range to fight back against, being typecast sort of thing, if that makes sense, right? So I think it just depends on who the actor is. But if you did 10 years, 10, 12 years of great movies, of funny movies, and you've made a career for yourself and you've been smart with your money, and you're still doing movies today, maybe not that recognizable, I don't see anything wrong with that type of career at all. You're just leaning into your strengths, I think. Blossom, since there's a hype going on in Toy Story 5, a couple questions. Do Andy and Bonnie playing with toys make you feel like wanting to play again? Maybe not play by myself, but it does make me want to play with my kid more. It does make me want to sit down on this carpet in his room and take out the action figures and give everybody personalities and allow them to talk to each other. Like I hear him in his room sometimes. He doesn't have any siblings, right? So sometimes when we're busy as parents, he's playing with his toys by himself. He's really activating that imagination, and I hear him making voices for each character and talking to each other. So, like, sometimes, like, when I say the Toy Story, it makes me want to sit down with him and jump into that conversation and just help expand his imagination and allow him to be able to pretend like I that was me as a only child with, like, my GI Joe toys, my He-Man toys, my Ninja Turtle toys, creating scenarios and worlds in my head and having them fight each other or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it seeing them playing with toys in Toy Story 5 and just the ability of what the power of imagination can do, um, always makes me want to sit down with my son and play for sure. Do you think this movie would convince the parents and kids to put down the tech and just play the old-fashioned way? I think so too. I mean, I don't think it's lost on us as parents that that tech is an issue for kids. Um, you know, um, I think the reality of parenting is that while, yes, I do think some parents can legit be lazy and not interact with their kids. And so it's easy to just place them in front of a TV. It's easy to put a phone in front of their face, sort of thing. I do think that there are also other parents that utilize tech in a way of, like, not just necessarily, for education purposes also, but sometimes, you're juggling so many things at home as a parent, whether you got to clean up the house, get dinner ready, do the dishes, sort of thing, and having that kid constantly around you, mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy, like, constantly needing that attention, that you need time to just get stuff done around the house, that the culprit of, let me put a movie on for you, kid, here, let me give you my phone and let you be on the screen for like an hour or something, that stuff is just really real. It's very real. The problem is that the kids get just so addicted to it, right? Like, it just becomes such a big integral part of their life that if there's a balance that needs to be sort of found, right? Like I mentioned before, for our son, he wakes up a little bit earlier than we do. We might still be kind of groggy and want to lay in bed a little bit longer, right? Like, we may fix him his breakfast and then give him his breakfast and then lay down for like another 30 minutes to an hour or something like that. And during that time, to distract him while we're still kind of sleeping a little bit or keeping our ears out for him, sort of thing, we may allow him to look at his phone for an hour or 2 hours or something like that. But after that, like, once we're up and about, it's like, okay, give me the phone. Like, now it's time to be a little kid. Now it's time to be active and play and learn and do things around the house, run around. You know what I mean? So we definitely don't have our kid in front of the television all day. But I'm not going to say there are not those days where we sit back as parents and we're like, damn, this kid's gonna watch a lot of TV today. Like, we need to be a little bit more active with them, right? So every day is just certainly a little bit more different, and the schedule for parents a little bit more different. But I do hope that this movie in turn allows parents to understand, like, I think there's a good balance for everything in here. Too much time with tech and too much time with TV could certainly be a bad thing. But then I look at my life, and how I was certainly raised, and I watched a ton of cartoons growing up, certainly as a kid, Thundercats, Voltron, Doug. I spent a lot of my years in front of the TV. And now look at me. I don't know if that's a positive or not, but I feel like I turned out mentally just fine. I don't feel like, I may not have been the best student in the world. I wasn't an A average student, but I also wasn't a D or C average student either, but I felt like I learned a lot from television. This is before technology became a thing, right? I mean, well, I guess technology in the sense of television helped shape and mold me. But I do think things like phones and tablets have that similar effect, but maybe a little bit more intense than what television certainly did for me back in the day. But I do expect that this movie to just be able to showcase a much better balance of, you can have your cake and eat it too, as long as it's done from a very mindful sort of place. and not just a laziness of tossing this in front of your kid. But there is always going to be that importance of being active, playing with your toys the old fashioned way, right? And it just helps establish I think a bit bigger imagination, problem solving skills a little bit better, right? Than just having everything force fed to you from a screen. Although I expect, we are in a tech driven world now. So these kids at some point in time do need to be able to learn how to maneuver and navigate. And sometimes the fact that my boy knows how to navigate my phone already at the age of 4 is kind of scary to me. But it's just a world of technology that we live in these days. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Blossom. My friends call me Joseph. What do you think Peter Parker has been doing these 4 years to balance his lonely life as a street level hero with emotional weight of being forgotten by MJ and Ned? Considering his isolation, how do you think he will react when he eventually is recruited for Avengers Doomsday, only to find himself face to face with Doctor Doom, who shares the exact facade of Tony Stark? This tragic reunion would likely be the ultimate test for Peter's resolve, forcing him to fight a villain who looks identical to the mentor he lost. I am kind of curious if Doctor Doom is aware as to who Peter Parker is. Like, wouldn't that be the trippiest thing if nobody remembers who you are, but the one villain in Doctor Doom that reveals himself to be Tony Stark or look like Tony Stark refers to him as Peter and somehow knows his past? Maybe he wasn't affected by Doctor Doom's spell whatsoever. And is aware as to who Peter used to be. I mean, talk about a double whammy impact, right? Like, not only does he remind you and look like your mentor that you knew and loved, but out of all the people in the world that no longer even know what your impact was in their previous connections or whatever the case may be, the one person that does remember you is Doctor Doom. That would be trippy to me. Like, I think that would be pretty cool if Doctor Doom was like the only person that knew who Peter Parker certainly was and knew about his past. That would definitely make quite the conundrum for Peter Parker as Spider-Man going into Doomsday along with Secret Wars. But as far as what do I think he's been doing the past 4 years, keeping his head down, maybe finding a full-time job. I am kind of curious if he maybe works for the Daily Bugle by this time as a photographer. Also, maybe he's probably just been focusing on kind of going to school. It wouldn't surprise me if I still think he's been doing well. I don't know if he's on the Avengers, because I expect them to still be aware of Spider-Man, but just not aware as to who's kind of under the mask. So I'm sure he's probably been on adventures already with other Avenger characters. I think he probably, I am kind of curious as to if he's built a rapport with somebody like a Bruce Banner, if Bruce is like teaching at his university sort of thing, and he's formed some sort of bond with him. But again, it really comes down to, like, does he still refer to himself as Peter Parker? But people just don't make the connection of who he was from the past. Or has he really picked up an entirely new name? Is he going by the name of Ben Reilly or somebody else, or Ben Parker or Richard Parker at this point? Or is he still calling himself Peter? That I really don't know, but I would assume he's probably just been lonely, fighting crime. I don't know if he's gone on any dates. Probably diving into his science and technology stuff. I don't know. Maybe he started his own tech company from the ground up. Maybe this is the beginning of like Parker Tech or whatever. But he's like small business owner right now, trying to find some funding or something for whatever it is that he's attempting to kind of do, like whatever Peter Parker like constantly struggles with, right? Like, man, I really want to work for a big tech company. I have all these ideas, but my credit score is bad because I'm no longer Peter Parker. So I'm trying to start from the ground up, but I don't have, what it is that I need in order to get this small business loan to kick things off, right? Like, so he's got to try and make money other ways. Like it just feels like a very Peter Parker scenario for him to kind of be in. But I'm sure there's been a lot of isolation, a lot of superhero time, a lot of stalking of maybe Ned and MJ over the years without saying anything. So it'll be interesting. Alex Ramirez, what's up, Alex? In the movie Straight Outta Compton, Ice Cube's lack of a contract as a member of NWA initially left him eating burgers while his peers enjoyed lobster. This exclusion served as a shield that protected him from the predatory financial ruin Jerry Heller inflicted on Eazy-E. By remaining an outsider to the legal traps that eventually left Eazy-E in billions of dollars of debt, Cube maintained independence necessary to dismantle the industry's manipulations and build a legacy centered on his own family and creative control. Was Jerry's refusal to sign and pay Cube a fair share actually a hidden blessing that allowed him to avoid the crash and burn fate of his NWA bandmates? Probably. I mean, Ice Cube went on to have a great career. He still does. He's still like relevant, you know, in the sense of like not only just the hip hop community, but in his neighborhood and, you know, some of the things that he continues to do. I mean, I follow his son all the time, O'Shea. He's a big wrestling guy too, so that's probably what. And he's also in a couple of movies, if I'm not mistaken. I think O'Shea was also in the Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series, if I'm not mistaken, also, right? So like Ice Cube's legacy certainly lives on, but it definitely was a hidden blessing, despite maybe how it felt certainly at the time to him, but for sure. Alan Batista, what's up, Alan? Good to see you here, man. You remember the last scene of the movie White Chicks? No, I don't. I don't know if I've ever fully finished White Chicks. It's been so long since I've tried to check out that movie though, where Marcus finally comes clean by telling Latrell, I'm not a woman. Instead of being shocked by the gender reveal, Latrell simply looks at him and asks, "White?" with a look of pure disappointment. This hilarious moment proves that Latrell wasn't bothered by Marcus's biological identity, but was actually devastated to find out he wasn't the snowbird of his dreams. Since Latrell seemed totally unfazed by the gender swap as long as the person is white, do you think he's the most unintentionally progressive and absurd character in the 2000s? Probably. Latrell, who? Let me hold on. I think I have an idea. Latrell, hold on 1 second. I'm like, who did Latrell play? But I think I know off the top of my head. Hold on 1 second. Oh yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, I was gonna say Terry Crews, right? And when you said when you said Latrell, I'm like, I think that's Terry Crews's character. If since it's Terry Crews's character, absolutely. The most unintentionally progressive and absurd character in the 2000s, absolutely. I feel like that's Terry Crews just in general, you know. Absolutely. Like he was doing things progressive like for years. That maybe at the time maybe made some people feel uncomfortable. But it was also funny, but also showcased that like Terry Crews is like just as real as it gets when it comes to being progressive and being open-minded to those things very, very early on. You know what I mean? Before it was probably like okay, or like that people were like even more comfortable with it. But yeah, Terry Crews for sure, man. I love Terry Crews. Nathaniel, what's up, Nathaniel? The sitcom Friends, in one episode, Ross stumbles upon Rachel and Paul, played by Bruce Willis, enjoying Rachel's apartment. In a frantic attempt to call Joey from the next room, serves as a desperate cover for an incredible, awkward visual encounter. While attention to dating Paul's daughter explained his shock, fans have noted that Paul's sudden turn towards the bathroom wall suggests he was actually trying to hide his erection from both Ross and the camera. Do you think the subtle detail was a scripted gag or an unintentional moment caught on film? I don't know, man. You know, I feel like I remember that episode, but I don't recall. Is that one where he's like under the bed where he's like hiding from them. He doesn't want to get caught. Paul suddenly turned towards the bathroom and says he was actually. I think it's a scripted gag. I don't believe it's an unintentional moment caught on camera. I think it was a scripted gag personally. Jessica Friedman, would you like to see Pixar try to make because unintentional moment calling film? No. I think it was a scripted gag for sure. I do. Jessica Friedman, would you like to see Pixar try to make original movies like Hoppers or stick to making sequels like Toy Story 5 and Inside and Out 2? And why do you think Marvel decided to make Spider-Man a limited animated series instead of another series of the 90s Spider-Man? So for the first one, I mean, they do make original movies. Pixar does make quite a few original movies. At one point in time, Inside Out was an original movie, and now it's become so successful that now it's getting sequels. The Incredibles was an original movie, and now that's getting sequels also. So there are plenty of things that Pixar does from an original perspective that doesn't necessarily always hit. You can't strike gold all the time. So they try and do a little bit both. I think they are aware as to the sequels or the franchises that really work from a sequel perspective, and they'll continue to explore those, and they'll continue to make original movies in hopes that something really hits for people, and then in turn they've got another franchise that they can make sequels out of. So I think Pixar does a really good job of at least balancing that out. And why do I think that Marvel decided to make Spider-Man Unlimited animated series instead of another season of 90s Spider-Man? Spider-Man Unlimited series. When did that drop? Oh, October 1995. I mean, they even have the same Spider-Man like logo design. It just says Unlimited down below. Homeboy looks like Homeboy looks like a Spider-Man 2099. I don't think I ever watched this series. Yeah, it went from Spider-Man 1998, and then they went to Spider-Man Unlimited, and that ran for till 2025. So that ran for like 5-6 years. Spider-Man travels to Counter Earth. Was that the premise? Was that the idea like of this being our Spider-Man from the 90s comic, but then he travels to another planet and then he becomes somebody else? I don't think I ever watched this. Yeah, I definitely don't think I ever watched this. I don't know. I mean, maybe, they did the Spider-Man run for about 4 years. That was a really successful show. Maybe they just thought changing up the formula would be great. I mean, I do wonder if they were starting to see a decline in ratings. Maybe, maybe they felt it was time to get fresh and do something different. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look. I'll have to find the story of Spider-Man Unlimited and how it came to be. Cars are my hobby. What's up, Cars? Have you seen the movie Baby Driver? Absolutely. If so, why did you think of it? And if not, any other favorite films or even shows about cars? Why did you think of it? And if not, what did you think of it? Yeah, I did see Baby Driver. I thought that was a great movie. That had I was actually a really big fan of the whole entire cast in here. Kevin Spacey, Ansel Elgort, who played Baby, Lily James, who I'm absolutely in love with as Deborah, John Hamm in here as one of one of the criminals. Same thing with Jamie Foxx. Great cast. This is an Edgar Wright film, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, one of Edgar Wright's best films. The soundtrack was incredible. The idea that Homeboy would listen to music during his heists. It makes for a great heist film. Also, the car chase sequences and driving is absolutely brilliant in here. I mean, this is a really, like, if you have not seen Baby Driver, you're doing yourself a disservice. This was such a fun movie, really carried by cast, great story, and amazing soundtrack, and just a top tier sort of heist film. I personally believe so. Um, any of my other favorite films or movies about cars. There is there was Top Gear. I don't know if you've ever seen Top Gear. There was a Top Gear show, I believe. I want to say it aired on BBC. It felt like it was a British show, but Top Gear, where they would highlight different cars. It was like three hosts, and they would highlight um each of them would highlight three different cars, right? And I believe they also raced these cars, and they always kept track of like fastest times and fastest speeds. And I believe they would have like celebrities come on the show or other people come on the show to race cars as well and keep track of them having the fastest laps and stuff like that. But the the knowledge that these three men had in regards to the world of cars and the different types of cars, I thought was always really cool and in depth. So if you ever get a chance to check it out, Top Gear. Um, I don't know if the series is still going on or not, but I would come across it and it was always really cool to me. There's also another. Hold on a second. There's also a car challenge show on Netflix I was a big fan of. Um, it says Hyperdrive, but I don't believe that's the show that I'm thinking of. It might have been Fastest Car. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. 2 seasons. It's called Fastest Car. The drivers of exotic supercars put their street cred on the line against deceptively fast sleeper cars built and modified by true gearheads. It was only 2 seasons on Netflix, but it's called Fastest Car, and it was really cool. Sometimes it was about like um each episode was like a race, and they would have 4 competitors, and sometimes it was like two rich people that like purchased their race cars sort of thing, and then you had like two people that were true like garage head, um I'm gonna soup up this car and make it like the fastest, right? So it was like two opposite poles, like two opposite sides of the spectrum, all of them both fast car enthusiasts, and they would race their cars. The people that built their cars to race and the people that bought their cars to race. And I think it was maybe 6 episodes, maybe 8 episodes, I can't quite remember, but they would have races, and then you would move on to sort of the next level, the championship, if you won your race sort of thing. And then at the end of the season, all of those that qualified would have one big race, and then they would find out who the fastest car out of all of them was. So those would be my two choices. Like if you want to learn about cars, Top Gear is a really great show, and you know it, fast cars, beautiful looking cars, get to learn about cars. And then if you just want to see cool racing, whether it be like on a street cred kind of level type of thing, Fastest Car on Netflix was pretty great. So check those out. But those would be my recommendations. Please, Lois is my wife. Peter is dead. 1995. Please list top 10 cartoons and anime. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, I would be here like forever. Jesus. I don't know if I can do a top 10 like off the top, like just off the rip. Um I mean, I'll make a list of like 10 shows, 10 cartoons that I might have grown up with on my time that I was always a big fan of. Golly, bro. Batman the Animated Series, Gargoyles. I got to get He-Man in there. I got to get Voltron. I got to get Thundercats. So that's 5. X-Men, Spider-Man, that's 7. Man. Darkwing Duck, that's 8. I'm sure some people would probably put Batman Beyond on that list too. I got to put Doug on there. Doug really shaped my life a little bit. And Rugrats. I'm sure I'm over 10 right now. I probably missed G.I. Joe. I probably missed Transformers. I probably missed Silverhawks. I mean, I top 10 is so hard, bro. Top 10 is so hard. I'll have to think about that. Maybe that'll be like a individual video that I make. Marcelino, what's up, Marcelino? Is that all your question? Let me just double check here. Let me double check because sometimes I'm used to you dropping like 2 or 3 questions. So when I don't see 2 or 3 questions, I'm like, did my thing cut you off again, bro? Well, let me see if I can I get to the content? Oh, posts. Okay, let's see. Where you at, Marcelino? No, that's everything. Okay. Marcelino, remember the time that I asked you if you could name a character where the majority of the fandom felt like they were a waste of potential, but you personally disagree with? Well, I thought of one. Ross, the red-headed prostitute from Game of Thrones. She was an ally to Lord Varys, but then was killed off screen by Joffrey. Many people were hoping for more of her because what made her special was that she was an everyday citizen just trying to make a living for herself. She wasn't bound by royalty. Some people were hoping that she would have an arc where she would start off as a sex worker, then turn political schemer. The actress even once met a fan who worked as a sex worker and felt honored by her because of the sex workers never gets represented in a positive light on TV the way that Game of Thrones did. I do believe I remember Ross. Or is it Rose? Yeah, I thought she was. I thought she would have probably been a little bit more than that too. That's a good one. That's a good one, especially when you got people coming up to you at conventions or just in general after meeting you, saying the impact that you had. You would certainly hope that they had more uh, opportunities on the big screen. But yeah, that does feel like a little bit of a missed opportunity for me with her. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. Let me see something. Characters. With wasted opportunities. Let's see. Oh, somebody said T-Dog from The Walking Dead. Oh my God, if that ain't the realest thing I've seen today. Some of the most prominent examples of TV characters with wasted opportunities. T-Dog is the first one up there from The Walking Dead. Despite being an original group member, his character was underdeveloped and killed off too soon, missing chances to explore his depth. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded a little bit more T-Dog, to be quite frank with you. Oh, who is this? Because I used to watch this show, but I don't know. 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 I don't know Oh yeah, Mandy from Shameless. Also, I think that's a great one too. I would have loved to have seen more of Mandy. There was also somebody. Oh man, hold on one second. There's also. Oh, maybe that's who that character is. Hold on a second, because I'm looking at a list of characters that are underutilized. Maybe that is her. Hold on, let me check. It's a Breaking Bad character, and I'm trying to. Who did she play in that show? Oh, she played Jane. I was thinking for some reason I was thinking um Jesse Pinkman's girlfriend from Breaking Bad seasons 2 and 3. Um I kind of wanted more for her. I think they did a relatively good job though with her. I mean, she was on the show for like 2 seasons, but there is a part of me that before the overdose, like she certainly played her part. She definitely played her role in the show. But there's a part of me that felt like, man, there was so much more potential I would have liked to have seen, because I was kind of surprised that she was gone the way that she out as soon as she was. I was kind of hoping she would have stuck around a little bit longer. But the Kristen Ritter character, who played I think her name was Jane, who played Jesse Pinkman's girlfriend in Breaking Bad. I know she was on the show for 2 seasons, but man, I definitely wanted a little bit more from her. But yeah, those would probably be some of the other names I would probably throw out of characters that had wasted potential. But yeah, let me know you guys' thoughts. But I think that will do it for all of our live viewer questions. Just double check here. Yeah, it looks like we got everybody. Awesome. So that will do it for all of our live viewer questions today, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you guys so much for everybody participating. Again, we drop that live viewer question post every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening. So always keep a lookout for it on our YouTube page. Outside of that, I think that will do it for today's show. Again, Stuart will be back next weekend. There's a couple things. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, man. I've been a little bit lazy lately in regards to posting some stuff. I have been wanting to do some individual videos this past week, like when the Mandalorian trailer dropped. I wanted to do something, but I just been so busy this week with going to interviews or school tours for my son. I had a couple doctor's appointments this week too, a dentist appointment also. So I've had a lot on my mind in regards to other things that I've had to get done. So I think that's kind of slowed me down from making other content. I've got a couple report cards I still got to drop over on my TikTok page. I wanted to do a series review for Wonder Man, but I think that's kind of long past. I believe A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is ending this week, so I may do a Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 1 review for you guys later on this week. Maybe I'll make it a live one. I don't know how many episodes of Starfleet Academy we'll be getting, but I probably will do a season 1 review of Starfleet Academy whenever that certainly wraps up. And I'm trying to think of what other television shows. Daredevil is going to be right around the corner. So we will be doing reviews for Daredevil, similar to what we were doing reviews for season 1. I have also contemplated at some point in time bringing back our watch along series that we had a few years back. I would like to bring that back if at all possible. Stuart and I, come March, have been talking about also doing a once a week movie discussion, in the sense of like movies that dropped that week and talking about them. Hopefully we can try and all see them in that same week and then talk about them maybe in the middle of the week for you guys. So we're thinking about that. But for the channel, if there's things that this channel does not do that you would like to try and see us tackle or talk about or anything like that, bring new to the channel, please go ahead and let us know. I am looking at getting a brand new PC here relatively soon, especially since we plan on kicking off a Star Wars podcast come April. We really would like to try and make it to Star Wars Celebration in 2027. If at all possible. And we will be starting that off beginning in April. So a lot of things are certainly going to be happening around here after this week and beginning in March. But let me know if there's anything in particular that you would like to see this channel branch out in or do things new. Certainly let us know if there's any television shows that are upcoming that you think would be cool for us to do reviews for on a weekly basis. Let us certainly know in the comment section as well. And we'll try and make some time for all of that for you guys. But yeah, definitely let us know. Peg C says review Super Space Sheriff Gavin. I'm gonna check out the first 2 episodes. I probably will give my thoughts on that. I am just debating as to whether or not I should drop my Space Gavin episodes here on Hero Report, or if I should just bring back my APlus More Phenomenal YouTube page and drop it there. Or maybe I wonder if I could drop it both places since they're both my channels. But we'll see. But I'll keep you posted. But yeah, I'm going to try and do my best in the next day or two to check out these episodes, Peg C, and then give you guys my thoughts on it as well. But appreciate the recommendation. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. What you guys would like to see at the channel. If there's a new television series or new movie you would like for us to review or talk about, let me know. I'll definitely bring it up with the others. But yeah, other than that, guys, that will do it for APlus Hero Report today. We'll certainly be back next week. Remember, we got ourselves a brand new time next week at noon Central. So look forward to that. But until then, do me a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.